Welcome to episode 48 of the Oddcast, where we are talking all things literacy and its rapid decline here in Australia. And is it any surprise given that we now have teachers stabbing school principals? We're also going to talk about how a New South Wales policeman has been found guilty of killing the first Aboriginal in custody. And we're going to go across the pond to Donald Trump and his resurgence of the word retard. And maybe it's not a moment too soon. So strap in, fill your drinks. We are here for a wild episode of the Oddcast.
I'm not doing it. I need one damn thing that I actually control. Okay? So I'm not getting my hair cut, no matter how much of a hard time you give me about the fact that I look like Shaggy the dog, and I know I do, but listen, I'm going to grow my hair back down to my shoulders. You can call me Martin Bryant all you want, but I'm wearing the clothes you said. I have the brand you said. We got the photographs you said. I need one damn thing, Carly. One thing.
Are you done with your tantrum?
Yeah, I can't.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no,
yeah?
I just needed to get that out.
Do you want me to pick up your dummy?
I just needed to get that out. I do love the shirts, though. How good, like...
Which one's this one?
Well, it's obviously it's my one because it's got my name on it.
Well, it's on the back of it.
Oh, this is the silhouette.
Ah, yes, that's my favourite.
Let me go the other way. No, I can't show it to you. Too fat, can't turn around enough in the chair. It's awesome. It looks really cool.
That's my favourite. I think it's because of the colours, but also it's just fun. You know, when you're wearing merch, it should be fun.
Can I say, though, it is still confronting to have things with my name on them.
Yeah.
That is, I'm still adjusting.
You're kind of a big deal now,
Well,
though.
is that a healthy thing to adjust to, though? Like, is that one of those things that should always stay weird? Like, you should never get used to that?
The more I've interviewed public figures or been around them, the more you realise how normal they are and how abnormal the scene around them is. I don't think you ever get used to it.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you a really good example. Gordon Ramsay, honestly, hand on heart, the coolest person I've ever met.
You told me the story about how he came out and said hi and everything. Like, he just seems lovely.
And he was like, this is Gordon Ramsay. Yeah. I'm Joe Schmo, and he's giving me his time. And he was happy to sit there and talk and get a photo and all the things.
Yeah.
And he was really complimentary. And I'm just looking at him going, you don't need to be here. You don't need to spend any time with me.
There's nothing in this for you.
And he just went out of his way. He was with us for, like half an hour or so.
It actually, what you just said is really, really interesting, how normal they are and how abnormal the environment around them is. I reflect on the time that we got to spend with Jordan Peterson in London. We were in that room and he was literally being shepherded from one thing to another to another. There was this orchestra going on around him.
It's like he's on a treadmill going through his life and everyone's just like changing the scene around him.
Yeah, and briefly, for those that haven't heard the story, we walk into the room and Carly was doing photographs for Jordan. Carly's an amazing photographer, for those that don't know, and is literally slowly photographing some of the most high-profile people in the world. We were there to do that, and I was Carly's offside of that day. I was carrying the lights and stuff, and we walk in and he's already set up for a interview with Piers Morgan. They had him all set up with the camera and everything, and people had brought the equipment in, set it up, and he just walks in, sits in the chair and does the interview. He chats with Piers, they do their actual interview, then he has another little casual chat with Piers afterwards. By the time he's done with that, we have to be set up with the lights. And he stands up from that, walks straight over to us with our set where Carly's ready, and you couldn't even test the lights because it would have affected...
Yeah.
Right? And
so
you had to be like ready with no actual
don't
prep.
Stuff this up.
Yeah, and you did an amazing job. We had less than 10 minutes with him, I think, in the end. I was getting behind the scene footage of you while you were getting your photos. Then by the time he's finished with us, someone else had set up a round table with a bunch of microphones to do a podcast.
And he was straight into a podcast.
And he just walks away from us and into that podcast. But you're right, he was very normal. It was the environment around him that was completely alien and bizarre.
In my experience, like prior to all this, I used to work in the music industry and I've met a whole host of people. And the people at the top, the people who are genuinely famous and genuinely successful, and I'm not saying that to be mean to anyone on their way up. I'm just saying the people who are established, they are usually cool as a cucumber and they're so normal. It's the people in the way up. Yeah. They're the ones that are usually like the B-list, maybe they are. I don't know.
There are some exceptions. I mean, Hollywood, particularly actresses, but also some actors are known for being...
To be fair, I haven't encountered many actors or actresses. I've not been exposed to that
There are some that
part.
have reputations on set for just being nightmares. They're awful to the crew and blah, blah, blah. But then there are others that have reputations for being just amazing human beings. Keanu Reeves is one that springs to mind, but there's plenty of others as well. It still does come down to the individual, but I think money and fame, money more so, but fame would also do it to a very large degree.
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's a rapid exposure to fame. I think if you're someone that's like been in, not the system's the wrong way of saying it, but let's say Margot Robbie, I've never met her for the record, but you know, she was on Neighbours and then she moved to Hollywood and then she got some sort of like lower level jobs and then slowly made her way up to A-list and now she is arguably an A-list. Yeah. So she's kind of been...
I don't think arguably, I think she is.
Oh, she is, yeah. So she's been exposed to it over a longer period of time. Whereas I think if you're on a reality TV show and you get a good edit and all of a sudden you're just blasted into everyone's TVs and homes.
And that's what we talked about before. It's that the struggle is what builds the muscles to be able to sustain you when you're there. But I think money and fame are amplifiers. They, whatever you have that is good about you, adding money will amplify that. Whatever flaws you have, and we all still have flaws, having money will amplify that.
Yeah.
And part of the discipline, part of success is actually you have to start to deal with more of your own flaws. Otherwise, they will become massive problems. And we've all seen people where that's true. They became rich and became an asshole. They got a little bit of fame and it went to their head and it all went horribly wrong. We've all seen that happen. And so part of the discipline of actually becoming successful is also the humility to say, well, now I need to deal with a few more of my demons that maybe didn't matter before. But now everything's being amplified.
Well, it's because there's like a microscope on you. So those flaws, however small they are, they look bigger because the spotlight's on you.
But you can also do more. You have more clout. So that little mistake is amplified across a much bigger space.
You know what? Like, I'll just admit this to the camera. So because we're doing this podcast now almost 12 months and it's growing in popularity.
Episode 48.
We hit 4,000 subscribers today.
We did hit 4,000 subscribers today.
Which is
Congratulations,
amazing.
Carly.
Yay. How cool is that? In 1 year, 4,000. I think that's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Over 100,000 downloads a month.
Amazing.
Like, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But because this is a podcast that now is growing in popularity, my ability to stuff words up and sometimes struggle to grab my thoughts out of thin air is on full display. And I'm not insecure about it. It's more so I look at it and go, yeah, okay, maybe that's something I should give attention to because prior to this podcast, I never would have had to think about that.
Yeah, but and you do. You have to level up. One thing that we haven't really talked about, but I think we both know, we've kind of touched on it off camera, is the level of success that you think you should get is from a given level of effort. Sorry, let me be clear. So the amount of effort required to achieve a given level of success, the effort required is more than pretty much anyone thinks. And you don't discover that reality until you try and do it. So if you want to be good, you have to, if you want your results to be good, you have to work at a level that is excellent. If you want excellent results, you have to work at a level that is world-class.
Yeah.
If you want world-class results, you have to be breaking records, setting new standards, doing things that no one's ever done before. Because the results are always going to be a level or two below the amount of effort required.
That's that whole shoot for the moon, fall amongst the stars kind of thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I mean, either way, you die of because your blood boils in space because there isn't enough pressure. It's a horrible way to go. But...
You always have to ruin my analogies with like reality. Jeez.
But that's what you discover as you try and push forward is like, well, hang on, I should have got a better result. Well, no, you shouldn't have. You just didn't realize that to get a good result requires excellent work.
This has become my new, this is my thing. This is my new, what do you call it? My new mission in life.
Right.
Is to bring back excellence.
Yes.
And
well, you're doing it at the right time because I think we are in a global return of excellence right now.
And as I said, as we started the podcast, like our topics, let's go through them really quickly. So I talked about a principal has been stabbed in Melbourne's southeast by a teacher.
Look, teachers are going out of their way to really connect with their students these days, like picking up the same hobbies.
Talk about getting on their level, yeah.
Well, I mean, picking up the same hobbies, stabbings, I think, credit to the teacher.
And then we're going to talk about how Victorians, surprise, are now backing an adult time for violent youth crime. We've got some stats around that. Shocking. Oh. Shocking. I feel like it's been an Oprah episode. You get a carjacking, you get a home break-in, you get a stabbing, right?
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about the state of education. This is a big one, and this is kind of the theme for today's episode. And we're going to talk about the reel I showed on Monday.
Yes.
And for those who missed it, I will replay it again because it's important to listen to what I said in it.
And it's gone very viral.
Very viral. It's almost at 400,000 views now,
Yeah.
that's a bit scary.
Yeah. Not that you've had bad experiences
Not that I've
with
had
reels
bad
going
experiences.
viral and leading to bad outcomes.
And I kind of took on the woke queen herself.
Yes.
We'll
get to it. We'll get to it, yeah.
But I've pulled up a whole bunch of articles that have come out like over the last maybe 2 months talking about literacy.
Yeah.
Not just Gen Z, literacy in general. So across Australia, I've got the latest NAPLAN results. I've also got an article here that was written by a psychologist who's talking about bullying. And what she says is probably going to shock you. So we're going to talk about that. And then, the decline in people reading. And the reason this is important is because I found out yesterday when I posted this reel and in the backlash, so few people have the attention span to firstly listen to the whole thing before they jump up and criticize me. And secondly, if they don't understand the words, they'll just invent what you say and react to that.
But it gets worse because I want to bring up a conversation article that was published recently that really shows the decline not only in literacy in terms of words, but actually basic numeracy and basic statistical comprehension.
I'd say that's quite malevolent, though. I think that's deliberate.
I agree. Misha, the senior editor at the conversation, I'm making a video on this and I'm calling him out by name because I think I agree. And I think the way that he's written it makes it very clear that there was intent there, in my opinion.
I do have something for you because I'm not a Christian, as you guys know. I grew up in the Catholic school education system. You are a Christian.
Yep.
But I want to show you something today. And I think this is actually going to be a catalyst, not this one moment specifically, but we talk about a resurgence of embracing the Judeo-Christian values.
Yep.
Now, everyone has their reasons for maybe why they don't like church or why they don't like organized religion. And I'm not going to go into that point right now, but I've got a video to show you. Mm-hmm. And when you see this, I think this will explain a lot. Okay. The next one we're going to talk about, again, on the school thing, and this kind of popped up last year, but it was a mother who took a school to court because they had a outsider come in and lecture on bestiality. Can I say that on YouTube? Bestiality?
Well,
I'll zoom that out.
Yeah.
And incest. Yeah. And this one missed me because I think it's South Australia. Yeah. But this, since I've looked into this, I now understand Gen Z. I get it. I get why they are the way they are. So we'll go into that.
All right.
Another one is, so we've now got Karen, and I know you did a video on this.
Yes, so she does not just want to regulate the internet. She wants to regulate everything attached to the internet, which guess what? That's everything.
Yeah. So, and to be honest, I think it's satire half the time. When these things pop up, I'm like, that can't be true.
The Karen cannot be trying to regulate cars. That's absurd. Oh, wait, she is.
And she just doesn't like Elon, does she?
Oh, no.
Oh, she's out for Elon.
That is deeply personal. I reckon she's got the hots for him, and he wasn't interested, and that's it.
Speaking of hots, are you across what's going on with Candace Owens at the moment? Have you seen any of this?
No. I tuned Candace Owens out before she even joined the Daily Wire, which is now ancient history, right?
Yeah.
I reckon she makes trouble for clicks. That's her shtick, and I've tried to ignore her ever since.
I have tried to sit on the fence with Candace.
You were a bit of a fan of hers for a little while, let's be honest.
I loved what she did for Macron.
You were a bit of a fan.
I was, and I read her book, and I really liked her book, and I think when she worked at the Daily Wire, she did some great stuff, particularly around BLM. But I don't know what's happened to Candace, and I saw someone post this today, and it made a lot of sense. She's out for blood with TP USA.
Yep.
She is out for blood for Erica Kirk.
Yep.
And I did not know this, and this could be all alleged. I don't know. I just saw this today. That apparently Candace wanted Charlie romantically, and Charlie chose Erica.
It's not impossible.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, that would make sense for her reacting the way she is. So I don't know if we want to talk about that,
Well, look, if it's just scuttlebutt at this point, then I'm not that interested. But hey, if you want to, we can do it.
And then the last one, which this one is disgusting. I've got an article literally in front of me right now, and we'll go into this in great detail. Is the first ever conviction of an Australian police officer over an Aboriginal death in custody.
Yes, well, so that's what the headlines read. We will get to that because that is such a deceptive way to describe what's happened. I think this is a terrible precedent. I do not often go into bat for police, right? Most viewers will know my history. You'll know that I'm not a big fan of theirs. I consider the police largely to be the foot soldiers of the most violent criminal organisation in Australia, the government. But in this case, I think there's been an egregious miscarriage of justice, and the precedent that it sets is going to be terrible. It's going to lead to more crime.
Yeah, this one threw me. Again, I thought it was satire, and then no.
Anyway, let's get there. Can we do good news?
Good news, please.
I'm dying for good news because, be honest, you doubted me. You doubted that I was going to be able to sign all of the thank you cards that you gave me and bring them back signed. So,
you are a week late. So,
well, no, excuse me. I was traveling last week. They were signed, but they were actually not here. But I'm gonna let you do a quality control thing. You know how they do, like, pick which one you want to test when they're doing like drug deals and there's all the packages. Which one do you want to test, the left or the right?
Left.
Okay, left. All right, we're doing this one.
Imagine if he hasn't signed one and you missed a
goodness,
page.
if I missed one page, I'm in so much trouble.
I will die.
Okay, now we're gonna go through and you tell me when to stop. There. Okay. Oop, just whack the microphone.
Can we not break the set while we're doing this?
And is that signed?
It is, but
is that signed?
Yeah.
Hand signed. Hand signed. Every single one.
Yeah.
All of them.
Okay.
I have done a thing. I have done well. I'm doing it on time. These are back to you. These, by the way, are going to go out with every single purchase. So if anyone who buys anything from the tofafil.com store, any of the new amazing merch that Carly has designed, you will get one of these hand signed by me. Ta-da!
That's cute. I appreciate that.
That's my good news. I did a thing. It's done. It's done. I never have to do that again.
Do you want me to ruin your day? Because
I thought we. I thought we were doing good news.
Yeah.
No.
See, he thinks that if he outsources things to me, it's going to make his life easier. And now I just make him do more work.
How many are in here?
1,000. You get me on board and I make things professional and then he whinges about it.
Well, I guess my hand will be cramping for 2 reasons this week.
That's not, no. Nah, it's too early. I've only had one coffee today. I don't need to play that.
Great. Well, what's your good news then? My good news just turned to shit.
I'm just recovering from what just happened. My good news. What is my good news? I have gotten a trust bond with my magpies and they now eat out of my hand.
Wow.
Yeah. I now have tame wild magpies.
So is this kind of like a Khaleesi thing? They're going to become your fire
they are my dragons.
Right.
Yeah. I've got 5 of them. They are my Maggies.
Wow.
And as soon as I get this bond to a point where they now will act on my command, I will now make them swoop people. I don't swoop that person.
Yep. So that's why I got attacked on the way in the door. Right, that makes a lot of sense.
They're a bit rogue at times.
No, they were not rogue. They were clearly following orders. Don't you try and get out of this, Carly.
But it's one of those things, like, I know this is so silly and so simple, but I actually really enjoy this. I mean, they're obviously wild animals. And, for anyone that's wondering, I am feeding them good stuff. I'm not giving them shit. And I was just like, this is just a fun little thing to do. And they now eat out of my hand. And, I mean, I'm sure if I let them, they would walk in the house at this point.
I was sitting having an ice cream with my kids on the main street of the town where I live. And we watched a pigeon just wander into the ice cream shop and just start picking up the crumbs.
I'll just help myself, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
I'll do a little public service.
Didn't even pay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Disgusting.
It's like, have you seen those videos of animals, it's either cats or whatever, that go into servos in Japan and they just or Indonesia, and they walk in, they just grab their thing and then scuttle out
again. Yeah. The one I love, and I think it's real, but I can't verify it, is, and I don't, why, actually the more I think about it, the more problems there are with it. But anyway, there's a dude sitting on a toilet and it's like a little camera in the corner kind of situation. And a deer smashes through the window behind him and then a bear comes chasing the deer into the cubicle.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The biggest problem with it, because it looks pretty real, but the biggest problem with it is, why do they have a security camera in the corner of the toilet?
That's always my thing. Like, when things get caught on camera, I'm like, hang on a minute, where'd the camera come from?
Yeah, you're like, security camera in a toilet. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's pretty funny.
That's been how, that exact thing, that question has been how, is how I've been able to discredit so many AI videos.
Yeah.
So I'm like, guys, why is there a video there?
Yeah,
why is the camera there, So, words
you should know to sound smart.
This is a great exercise for a podcast that's going to be all about literacy.
My question for the audience is it working? Do we sound smart? Just let us know in the comments.
I don't know if I sound smart because I don't retain any of these words. If you were to ask me, apart from lumpen proletariat.
Lumpen proletariat. That one stuck.
It's the only one, and I have no use for it.
None whatsoever, except when you're describing me.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yeah, stop. Right. Oh, every time.
You're going to have the D.
Okay.
The only thing on the page is the letter D. Okay,
yeah.
There was nothing else going on. All right, I've gone one page over. Right hand side. I know all of these words. I know every single word on that page. Okay, I will stop there and left because that's the only one. Verify.
Lumpen proletarian.
All right, come on. I'm just because the thing with books is they do tend to want to stop in the
Yeah.
same places each time. So, gosh, I know. Oh, okay. Magniloquent.
Magniloquent.
Yes, that's a new one. So that is pompous, bombastic, and boastful.
Oh, that's a great word.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that to my repertoire.
Magniloquent. That is a very good word.
Magniloquent.
Sorry.
That
Can
even
you just
rolls off
play,
the tongue.
play it again.
Magniloquent.
Oh, what an accent.
Magniloquent.
My goodness.
I don't know about you, but I
he
prefer.
can read a bedtime story to me anytime.
Yeah, I love a British man being my orator, especially on ChatGPT. Monty is a British man.
Of course he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he does speak with such high regard.
Yes. Magniloquent, pompous,
Magniloquent.
bombastic, and boastful. The 10-minute timer starts now, so we have to be past the 30-minute mark.
Magniloquent, yeah. I feel like that's just going to be...
I think that's going to fit really well. And I have a sneaking suspicion you're going to get this one. But I will do my best.
Yeah.
I will do my best.
I have to try and forget because it's like 10 minutes and then
Yeah.
I do forget. And then
and then you have to remember. Yeah.
Hang on, I'm just choking on my necklaces here. What has happened? What is going on here?
This isn't that kind of show. Okay?
Oh, this is not my kink. Okay, so where do you want to start?
So, well, I'm happy to kind of go anywhere. You've talked through the stories. Let's start with the ones that you did mention at the outset, because one of the problems we have, particularly on the Mondays, is we make it all about one topic and then we leave that topic to the end and then we never get to it.
Yeah, I'm just choking over here. Don't mind me.
Let's get stuck into the topics that we actually said
So
we were going to get stuck into.
the literacy thing. All right,
Yeah.
let's start with this. I'm just going to play the news clip while I try and not choke here. Hang on, let me pull this up. We'll go there. And
Good evening. A principal has been stabbed and a school in Melbourne's southeast has gone into lockdown following a fight involving 2 staff members.
Students were forced to hide in their classrooms as the violence unfolded. Selena Zhang has the latest.
With a bandage on his arm, a staff member is flanked by police, wheeled into an ambulance on a stretcher after violence erupted at Keysborough College.
That's kind of shocking, to be honest.
I just didn't think it would be our school. It was crazy to hear.
It was around 3 o'clock this afternoon when students went into lockdown. Parents received a message saying, "We've had to initiate a lockdown. I can confirm all students are safe and any students still inside the school will be allowed to leave shortly." 9 News has been told the principal was slashed following an altercation involving another staff member. Both men have been taken to hospital.
It's crazy because teachers are meant to be the ones keeping us safe. So the fact that someone did that to another teacher, it's crazy.
A place of learning flooded with emergency services as panicked parents rushed to pick up their children.
And we'll go live.
Well, now we know
to
where the
Selena, who's in
where the
Keysborough
kids are
tonight.
learning how to
Selena,
do
we
this.
know
It's just one of the classes in school these days.
I don't normally do this, but I happened to go to the supermarket this morning and I just couldn't help myself. I had to buy the paper. Teacher stabs principal. And we wonder why the state's in the mess that is, or just Australia at large. I mean, I know it's an isolated incident,
Sure.
and I may be being hyperbolic, but I have so much to say about this. And so the guy on the front page, those who want to see that, this is the principal.
Right.
And the guy who got stabbed,
No, it wasn't the principal who got stabbed.
the principal got stabbed. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
so
And
the
then
guy
the
who
guy
did
who
the
got stabbed
stabbing,
was a teacher.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find information about the teacher and I'm struggling.
Yeah.
I've got his name, but I can't find a photo.
Yeah.
And what's worse is this wasn't far from me. This is
Keysborough's, yeah.
Yeah,
just down the
Keysborough's
road.
not too far.
Yeah, and the thing is, we've now got the generation that were raised really, really crappily in the teaching roles, in the leadership roles. We've got, it's been said so many times, and I feel almost silly saying it again, but that generation that was raised on participation trophies, well, they are now well and truly in the workforce. They're not entering the workforce. They're now the bosses, the managers, the senior people. Was that the stabber?
That's
was it?
the teacher who stabbed.
Yep, and that's
This guy
that's
is the
who
principal.
got stabbed. Yeah, I mean the guy who did the stabbing. What did you say? 20s, 30s, late
I'd
20s
say
into
late
mid-30s?
20s.
Yeah.
I can never tell with this
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of generation.
Of a generation that was raised on participation trophies and feelings being, trumping facts and all that kind of nonsense. Of course, we're going to see this kind of stuff happening.
I was Googling this guy, and again, this is all alleged, so please just take this with a grain of salt. And the only search results I was getting was that he went to Vic Uni.
Right.
and Vic Uni is incredibly woke.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if that's
Well, you
true.
wouldn't know.
That was the only search results I was getting at the time. So I'm sure this will come out in the news. Like this is only sort of all starting to come out now.
Yeah.
Can I say something? And I'm not saying this to be derogatory. I'm not trying to say this around people's looks. But if you have a look at the principal, Aaron, and then now this guy's name is Kim, these men inhibit all of the markers that demonstrate low testosterone.
I think you mean exhibit, but yes.
Exhibit, sorry.
Yes.
Like they
exhibit inhibited testosterone, yes.
Did I say inhibit? Did I?
You said inhibit,
Oh,
yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
Didn't mean that.
That's all right.
Yeah, exhibit low testosterone. And I say that because the rounded face, a little bit overweight, a little bit chubby. I'm not saying...
But hang on, sorry, but just... what?
This matters
Explain yourself.
This matters for a couple of reasons. This is a generation who has been told to resent their masculinity, and that's toxic and it's bad.
Yep.
And yet, we now have an escalation in violent crime perpetrated by predominantly males. Like
branching out into the wider picture, yes, we don't have a pandemic of male teachers stabbing principals. This is an isolated incident, but yes, we have a wider problem.
When testosterone, was higher and men were more masculine, I don't recall teenagers running around stabbing each other, and I don't recall teenagers stabbing principals.
You know why? Because the adult men would have beat the ever-loving shit out of them if they did.
Correct.
Honestly, the fear of an ass whooping is one of the few things that will keep a high testosterone teenager in line. Sorry, and the lack of that is one of the biggest problems that we have right now. And I'm releasing a video tomorrow. I've recorded this video. It hasn't been edited yet. Get well soon, Roy. My editor, Roy, in the Philippines, he's had to ask for the day off. So Roy, I hope everything works out well for you. But I've got a video and I go pretty hard, and I'm like, I'm going to get some backlash on this one. The fathers of these kids, and I talk about a particular story in this video. I won't go into it, but the fathers of these kids that are doing these violent crimes need an ass whooping because it was their job. The minute they found out that their kid was hanging out with the kind of lowlifes that are doing robberies and car thefts and assaults and so forth, take him into a shed and teach him a lesson. And if you're not physically capable of it, get his uncles, get some other men to get involved. I don't mean kill him. I mean teach him such a lesson that he sits there and goes, maybe I'm not it in a bit. Because this is the thing. These kids think that because they can do acts of violence against others and they can win those fights, that must mean that they're the top. Yeah. They're the top dog.
Well, it's a pack thing kind of, isn't it? People forget that humans are animals at the end of the day. We are an animal species, and there is a hierarchy, and there should be a hierarchy, because this whole pursuit of equity and equality amongst all people, and we're all of the same caliber and same skill and same intellect, that's fundamentally bullshit. Nowhere in nature is that real.
Yeah.
You know, a hierarchy is important, and much like a pack of wolves, and people are going to be like, oh, she's comparing us to wolves now. A pack of wolves will always have the alpha, and they follow that alpha. And then the young one will come up and have a competition with the alpha, and that determines who the new alpha is and things like that. That should be happening in young men too. I'm not saying they need to behave like friggin' gorillas or wolves, but when you have a level of respect to someone who's either physically stronger than you or more mature than you, it does help you learn, firstly, respect and your place.
Yeah, your place. And for a teacher, for a grown man, allegedly be stabbing his boss, basically, in front of, or not in front of, but at a school, like at a place of learning. This is someone that we trust with our kids. I'm
trying to figure out how old he is, this Kim guy. I haven't found anything yet. Again, it might come out later. Yeah. But I would be so curious. I would be shocked if he's anything more than a Gen Z. And people say this to me all the time, Carly, you're so hard on the generation below you. Yes, as we should be. And I don't do it out of hate. Just for the record, I don't hate Gen Z.
Yeah, it's more contempt.
It is contempt to a degree. With some of them, surely it really
Sometimes
is. Sometimes
contempt is deserved.
No, it's more from a get yourselves together as an older sister. Grow up. Come on. This is ridiculous.
All right, so we're ragging on Gen Z again, and as fun as that is, we probably shouldn't shouldn't just spend the entire episode doing that. But I will
Why not?
I will say that I think there's a missed opportunity here. We talk about practical life skills being taught in schools. Why did they call the ambulance? They could have just done a first aid class. That's a self-defense class. Don't call the cops. Just have the students come in and deal with the teacher, and then first aid. I think some real sort of practical hands-on learning opportunities were missed at that school.
I'm sure it'll come in. There'll be some kind of new criteria that has to be rolled out next year.
Yeah.
I actually got told this from my girlfriend Sally because her daughter is 8. And they were doing a lockdown drill at the school. Did we talk about this on the podcast?
No, we haven't. But it's funny because this is yet another of the things that I can remember people mocking the US for.
Yeah.
And they're all coming here. All these things are coming here.
This does seem to be like imported policies. And so for those who don't know, who maybe don't have kids at school at the moment, I certainly don't either. That's how I didn't know. Sally was saying to me that it happened without her knowledge either, so she couldn't even preempt it with her daughter. So she's like blindsided, and you know what kids are like. They're curious. They don't, they're always like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Anyway, so they had a lockdown procedure where the kids basically have to hide, and the classroom gets locked, and they're under their desks or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, for what?
Yeah.
For what? We don't have high school shootings here.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but we do have teachers stabbing each other. So I stand corrected.
Can I just say that principal's really, really fortunate that his beef was with a male teacher. They're very rare. Male teachers are very rare.
Yeah.
And when they're angry at you, they'll stab you, which is much better than female teachers because when they're angry at you, they'll cook you a beef Wellington. So I think actually the principal got off lightly.
I thought you were going to go somewhere down like the sexual assault thing or just the accusation
that
of
too,
that.
but that wouldn't be funny.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I was like, that's dark. But yeah, okay, cool. I should stop assuming the worst.
Oh, no, actually, it's pretty safe to assume the worst with me most of the time.
But yeah, with this situation and what's happening in schools, I mean, I've been out of the school system for like over 20 years now.
But masters.
That's not school. That's postgrad. That's tertiary.
It's just everyone was thirsty. I just wanted to give them a chance to.
Oh yeah, sorry. Do you guys miss me talking about my masters?
Well, I think the alcoholics do.
Yeah. Sorry, and we don't even talk about Venezuela.
And gosh, we need some new words.
We suck at the bingo game. We've let everyone down. We hyped it for ages.
Yeah. We're going to do a mug.
And now they're all sober, and we're much less enjoyable to watch.
That's right. Yeah, that's why no one watches anymore. We're only funny when they're drunk.
We need an alcohol sponsor, then we could just,
Yeah.
But yeah, so with this, the reason I wanted to call this the literacy episode is I'm not trying to make light of the situation. This is terrible. But this is no different to these same teenagers now stabbing each other, the youth crime. All of this is because we have literally taken the reins off the parents for being able to actually parent their kids.
Yep.
We've given that over to the state and to teachers. And the people who go into teaching arguably are the wrong people for the job. And I didn't know this. And again, I'm not trying to be elitist by stating this, but I think it's important. The enter score or the ATAR, whatever they call it now, is really low for education.
Yeah.
Like really low.
Yep.
Not like, that's achievable. Like I think it's like 50 or 60. And this matters for a couple of reasons, because why would you try if you can just like Stephen Bradbury your way into things? What's the point of trying?
Yeah.
So you've got people, and I know for a lot of people, when I was at high school, teaching was like the default. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just be a teacher. I'll just, I'll be a primary school teacher or something. And, so these are people who didn't really try particularly hard, and then they go to a uni degree where they maybe aren't. And I'm not saying all teachers are like
these
this.
People that go and get their masters and stuff.
Yeah,
It's just,
I'm generalizing. But, I don't think that we're attracting the best. And I think back to my teachers 20 years ago, 30 years ago when I was in primary school and high school. And some of those teachers, I still remember their names and I still remember these key lessons. And for those of you who don't know this, and I know a lot of people mock me mispronouncing words and tripping over all the time, I am dyslexic. I have a really hard time with words, like spelling, and I work really hard to get better at it. I'm not dumb. I just see things differently. And when I was in year 10, I wanted to be, have I told this story? I'll just tell it really briefly. I wanted to be an architect.
Okay.
And an architect's ATAR score was quite high. It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Now, in all other subjects, I was blazing. I was golden. English, I was basically failing.
Yeah, right.
Right? And remember, I also didn't grow up in the Aussie school system until later. So I also was raised with the American spelling system and things like that. So I spell everything with Z. I forget my U's, and I still do it to this day. And every now and then my accent swaps over to that. It's very confusing. And anyway, my my high school people at the time sat my parents down and said, she needs to do something about English because she will fail and she will not get that ATAR score or whatever it is. Anyway, so I had a teacher in, I think it was year 11. His name was Sam Scolo. Sam, if you ever watch this, thank you very much because I owe this to you. And he told me to go and do English literature.
Okay.
Now, someone who's terrible at English, go and do Jane Austen and Oscar Wilde. And
you're condemning me to the gallows.
I was like, I can't even read this. I can read, but do you know what I mean? I can't even understand this stuff. So anyway, he's like, no, I want you to come over to English Lit. Don't worry about English. So I didn't do English in year 11 or 12. I did English literature. And the first book was Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I was reading it. I did not understand a word.
Yeah, right.
And I found it really hard. And it's one of those things, I'm one of those people that if I don't pick it up and immediately gel with it, I get so angry. And then I brute force my way through it until I get competent. A bit like your website. Anyway.
I thought you were going to say a bit like my friendship with you. You were definitely brute forcing your way through that.
I can't be only mean to you. I have to occasionally be nice to you. Otherwise, people will be like, wow.
I look forward to that time of the year, yeah.
That time of the decade.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's already happened. This decade's done, yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, so I went and did it with him and he taught me the formula for essay writing and the formula for digesting really difficult literature. And that stuck with me, right? It changed everything. I ended up getting a really high ATAR score. I didn't get into architecture, but it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that teacher saw an opportunity and he saw in me that she was a gifted student, but for whatever reason, this particular thing was hard for her.
Yep.
I'm going to give her this. And that was a lifeline.
Yeah.
And honestly, and like I sound like I'm drumming this up. It changed my life. It really did.
Well, you can still see that now, even in the work that you're doing. I mean, I've mocked you before for the wank that you're able to write around your art and into your masters and just how pompous and magniloquent you are when you want to be.
Damn it! I was going for it. Damn you to hell.
Yes.
Wait,
screw you! I got it this time.
Did you say I was magniloquent?
I did.
I
did say that you were magniloquent. I just had to double check that I did actually get it right. I did.
Yeah.
But
I was gearing up for it. Couldn't you tell?
Yes, I knew. I was watching the clock. I'm like, we're past 30 minutes. I have to get it now.
I was like,
you were talking and talking. I'm like, I don't want to interrupt because that's just rude. Like, I have to actually wait my turn. But I'm getting it in there straight away.
Oh, damn it. Well played.
But that skill set is really quite useful. I've said for a long time that when it comes to kids, so I was homeschooled. I homeschooled my kids for a while. We've put them into school now just because life got too busy and it all got a little bit too frantic. But I've said for a long time, there are 3 skills that every kid needs. And if they have all of these 3 skills, all of them, up to a level of competence, not even excellence, but if they have all 3, then they will find a way to be successful. Words, numbers, and relationships. If you have a fundamentally competent standard in all 3, you will find your place in this world. You will find your way.
Yeah.
If you are deficient in any one of those 3, then no amount of excellence in the others will ever make up for that.
Yeah.
And you will struggle. Your options will narrow. I'm not saying you can't make it. You can.
Yeah.
But your options will narrow dramatically.
I was just thinking about this as you were talking. Sam Scolo is a man, obviously, and the amount of time he spent with me, and like when I say I get irate, I do. Like I have a bit of a temper on me.
No.
I know, shocking.
No.
Groundbreaking.
It's not like we've literally caricatured you into a Carolina Reaper with smoke coming out of your head.
And it's not, I don't ever get angry at a person. I get angry at inanimate objects. And I remember like getting so frustrated because like chemistry, aced it. Maths methods, no problem. English lit, it was like someone was talking to me in Arabic and expecting me to understand it.
Yeah.
And he was so patient. And I was probably not the easiest person to deal with. And I think back to, other teachers who've done similar things. I wonder if teachers are even able to do that now. Can you imagine a male teacher in 2025 spending copious amounts of time with a 16-year-old?
Oh, you couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it.
No.
He would sit down with me literally in the student break area and just like, we'd have I'd have a cup of tea, he'd have a coffee and we'd be sitting there and he's like, come on.
Yeah.
Patient.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that now.
Yeah.
If you had a male teacher and a young student alone, like the rumors would be swirling around. And look at what that did. So we're robbing kids of those moments. And I'm not saying that we should allow teachers to only be alone with students. That's not, because apparently in today's world, you can't have nuance.
No.
If I say something like that, you want teachers to rape kids, do you? Like, people have forgotten that there's a lot of grey. And so now when I look at what's going on, I can see where we've gone wrong, because more and more we associate men as predators and assume the worst, and rightfully so. There's been a lot of issues around pedophilia this year.
Yeah.
But also teachers are now activists, and teachers are now essentially, and I will say this, running indoctrination camps.
Yep.
They care more about pushing progressive ideology than they do about numeracy and literacy.
I will say one good thing about teachers these days compared to when I was a kid. So I did go to primary school for a little bit when I was very young. Teachers these days are way hotter.
Are they?
Oh, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I was in primary school, now when you're a kid, everyone looks old, all right?
Yeah.
But my teachers, all of them, there were no exceptions. They were old.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when my main teacher walked outside to do the yard duty, the vultures would start circling overhead. They're like, it's got to be today. It's got to be today, right? Like, these were not young.
Just trying to think.
So I'm just going to say that's the one that they've got one thing going for them.
No, we had it like, I went to Salesian in Sunbury and we had some pretty cool teachers. There was a few I butted heads with. There was one who had it out for me and she hated me. I don't know why. I actually don't know what I ever did wrong that made her dislike me so much.
Probably just existed.
Yeah, she had it out for me for whatever reason. I was a bit of a smart ass, to be fair. And
Surprises me.
And I was disruptive. Once I was done, I was like, I'm bored now. I'm going to annoy everyone. But yeah, no, I don't. I remember just having pretty good teachers, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually look back at high school quite fondly.
Just going to, not trying to start anything, but I'm just going to close this book because I don't need
You
that
don't need it anymore?
I just,
Yeah, here we go.
Already won.
Maybe I'm letting you win because, to be fair, I dominated
You
most of the podcast.
If we'd actually kept a tally, you would be ahead. There's no doubt about that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so what I want to talk about, so I'm going to play it again, and this is important. I didn't. I am going to pull up my Instagram reel. So if you watched it on Monday, I apologise.
It's worth watching though. It is a good reel. It's gone mega viral for a reason.
Yeah, when I say mega viral, like every time I open my Instagram, I'm like
bracing for impact.
Yeah, like when you see 100, that's like 100 followers.
I'll just call my mate Paul, see if he wants to do a story about it.
Yeah. I told you, if I ever see him again, you will have to hold me back. I will not be nice to him.
I think Paul's all right. I'm not saying I'm not going to defend every story he's done, but I think of all of them during COVID, he was the one that gave us the most time of day. But anyway, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Paul Dowsley, Channel 7, for anyone that's wondering who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Did a hit job on Carly.
It wasn't like, I know he was doing his job, right? It wasn't the hit job. It was how vicious he was. He was like a freaking rabid dog. And in a way that I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
This is not how you behave.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah. Anyway, so you've got another reel going viral. You're not going to end up on a current affair this time.
No, hopefully not.
You know,
I did notice yesterday, just quietly, a whole host of journalists and media personalities followed me yesterday.
Yeah, wow.
A bunch of influencers followed me yesterday, and I always assume the worst. I just assume like, this is it. I'm going to get cancelled again, right?
You literally called me up. You literally sent me a message and said, "Can you please make sure that this is written on my gravestone?" You were
I'm leaving you all my Apple products in my will,
which I think is the greatest posthumous troll ever. To leave me with your iPhone, your Apple computer. I'll be like, I don't even know how to start this thing.
This is like the secrets to life on this apparatus.
I'll just use them as
you
a
need
boat
to
anchor.
extract them somewhere.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so
the files are in the computer.
Inside the computer.
There's a cultural reference for all of you oldies out there. The Gen Z won't get it.
Me up. What is this? A school for ants? Anyway,
it needs to be at least 3 times that size.
I don't particularly like either Will Ferrell or Ben Stiller, but that is a sensational movie.
I want to watch it again. Now
brilliant one.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this reel, I am talking about friend of the show's boyfriend, so not Abby specifically.
Wow.
And I want you guys to pay attention to my language, and this is important for a couple of reasons, and I'll go on to it in a second. But when I was saying the media personalities followed me, I wonder, because I knew I was kicking a hornet's nest.
Sure.
right? And the Queen murder hornet herself, Abby Chatfield. I didn't say anything nasty, and you'll see this in a second. But the response I got, you would assume I had gone after her unborn child.
Yeah.
Like, that's how vicious her claim is.
Abby wouldn't care about that. You can go after the unborn child. That's fine. Yeah.
I'm not going to make that comment.
That's
All right, so
that's a little too dark.
Let me just line this up for you guys. 1 minute. Hang on. She has a problem, and no, it's not a lack of talent. It's bigger, hairier, and much harder to ignore. So let's talk about it. I know what you're all thinking. Carly, Abby Chatfield's boyfriend. Ugh. Well, what can I say? I live dangerously. We're going to address this bloke, Adam Hyde, otherwise known as Kelly Holiday, or one half of Peking Duck. And I know you're all thinking about to shit on him for his performance over the weekend, but to your surprise, I'm actually here in his defense. And no, it's not because I agree with him. I certainly don't. Politically, Adam and I are on very opposite sides of reality, but as a libertarian, I respect free speech, and even though that's a courtesy him and his girlfriend would certainly not afford someone like me, given that they want us to just die, that's a direct quote, I am a girl of principles. I'm never going to shit on someone who's clearly passionate about his art, and I actually think we need more of it, so tall poppy be damned. What I'm interested in is brand saturation, and this is the worst PR strategy, and it's currently the one strangling Adam's career. They've mistaken visibility for virtue, and the plan seems to be shove Adam into every podcast, panel, and Instagram story in Australia, hoping that sheer saturation turns him into a cultural event. They've dressed him up like a Michael Hutchinson's reboot, the 70s porn moustache, the Ron Jeremy swagger, but there's one tiny problem. You can't resurrect a cultural moment just because you wish it still mattered. The music Adam's making belongs to a world that no longer exists. It was millennials that lived the all-nighters, the glitter, the ecstasy in your bra, the revolver walk of shame at sunrise. We earned those lyrics, and this generation hasn't. Sadly, clubbing is dead, and this generation just vapes, spirals, and self-diagnoses anxiety disorders on TikTok. They're not sweating it out to a Tiesto set or transcending to a Four Strings remix. Kelly Holiday is selling nostalgia to a generation with no memory of the thing that they're nostalgic for. Adam has been propelled into ubiquity largely through his association with Abby Chatfield and an unusually progressive publicity apparatus. His cultural footprint is not earned through artistic inevitability, but engineered through relentless multi-platform exposure. Each appearance is freighted with the same cluster of approved attitudes, and the result is not influence, but it's fatigue. Overexposure, when coupled with moral grandstanding, does not amplify his message. It's actually inoculating against it. Authentic cultural authority has never been granted by publicists, nor secured through an accumulation of talking head appearances. It is conferred, often reluctantly, when an artist manages to ignite something primal and unnegotiable in the audience. Everything else, the branding, the advocacy, the outfits, the carefully curated outrage, it's all superficial. If you strip that away, what remains is either resonance or indifference. The more incessantly he and his handlers insert him into the conversation, the more convincingly they demonstrate that the conversation was never truly about his music to begin with. Progressive ideology does not refine art, it sadly neuters it, and the moment the rock star becomes the regime's well-groomed mascot, the erotic charge of that rebellion collapses into a tepid safety of corporate compliance. They've long forgotten that the audience will only resonate if they truly feel it, not when they're told to think it. Okay.
Yeah, this is like Rage Against the Machine coming out in favour of the vaccines and all that stuff.
Yeah.
This is exactly the journey that artists go on. And I think this is why the reason why people are following you isn't the first half. The first half's good enough to keep people watching, but it's when you hit that second half that I think a lot of those sorts of people that are genuinely interested in this topic are sitting there going, oh, hold on, hang on, whoa, what did she just say? Because that business about how he is selling nostalgia for memories that his target audience doesn't actually have, I think is an incredibly powerful cultural observation of just how much the world has changed and just how much the artistic world has changed.
Well, I obviously got backlash, right?
Yeah.
But
also a lot of support.
To be fair, I got a lot of support, and I think I gained like 1,500 followers or something from it, which is lovely. But as predicted, the Abby Chatfield stands came over. Now, what would you say is their criticism of my video there? What would you say that they could pull out as...
That you didn't feature Abby Chatfield's ass or twerking at any point.
I didn't. Maybe that's where I went wrong.
Yeah.
Shit. I hadn't thought about that. No, what their main concern and the overwhelming commentary was around the way I spoke. Using a vast vocabulary and speaking in a way that's longer than 10 seconds and being able to deliver it clearly, articulately, in a way that they themselves are unable to digest.
Can you imagine if they discovered that you have a 3-hour podcast? Like their heads would explode.
So that was the first thing. The first one was like, oh, why is this so long? Just like get to the point. I'm sorry, 3 minutes is too long for you.
Oh, Carly, you can't expect people to have an attention span of 3 minutes these days.
So that's wild, because if you're going to do an educational piece, I'm sorry, there's no way I can say that in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You can't. And you can't deliver nuance. You can't make a solid point. I can't give you context. And this is what I think has been such a problem for so many people for like the last 6-7 years, is the lack of context.
Yeah.
I get it. You don't want to pay attention. But if you want to understand something, you've got to give people analogies. You've got to give them the research. You've got to give them a way to digest the information. You cannot do it in 10 seconds.
And this is the difference when it comes to the online space. We all get put under the banner of influencer, but actually there's vast differences between the person who simply wants to gather an audience of people that agree with them already versus the person that actually wants to contribute to the debate, that wants to be a thought leader, that wants to actually help to shape people's ideas and move people forward.
Yeah.
The person that just wants to gather an army of people that agree with them, well, they can talk in 10-second sound bites because all they have to do is the hot take. All they have to do is make that single point that people go, yes, that thing, that's what I was thinking. And then they all get on board and they have an audience and they can monetize that audience. People like you and me, we actually want to make a difference.
Yeah.
We don't just want to gather a tribe. A tribe is nice. And it's a necessary thing, as we've discovered, because you have to be able to survive doing what we do. So yes, you need that tribe. But the point is not actually the tribe. The point is the people adjacent to the tribe, that if you can reach them and actually help them to see more clearly and understand more deeply, they join your tribe.
Yeah.
Not because they already agreed with you before they discovered you, but because by discovering you, they saw the world differently and better.
Yeah.
That requires time. And to make a point as complex and as deep as what you just did in 3 minutes is remarkable.
It's really hard. And I will say that. So the way I typically work is I do a research as if I was writing an essay. And in my head, I'm writing 1,000-word essay.
Yeah.
And often it's too long.
So it's just one picture.
Pretty much.
You could just like sketch a picture and that's your 1,000 words right there.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
And so what I do is I call it the education sandwich. I make it somewhat entertaining, educational, and I always give people an anecdote or something relatable, and I make it applicable to millennials because that's pretty much who my audience is. And if you know anything about online content, you cater it to one specific person and then you catch others in the spray. You don't try and spray everyone and then catch no one. Right? So you talk specifically to your target audience. And then by and large, you actually capture a lot more people. But when I'm writing these things, I'm like, how can I make this relatable, on topic? And then, so someone said to me, oh, I see what you're doing here. You're trying to attach yourself to cultural moments so that you can gain a following. I'm like, hello, that is what social media is.
And you can't, yes, you are a cultural commentator. I'm a political commentator. You're a cultural commentator. Talking about cultural moments is literally what you do. But the point is helping people to understand them, what they mean, what the implications are, what might happen next.
But this expectation that every piece of content that goes on the internet is for you specifically. If it wasn't for you, honey, you can just keep scrolling.
Main character syndrome.
But I'm going to read you a comment that I got. So this is from, there's 2 comments, and one of them's an English teacher at high school. So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Honestly, I have no idea what you're trying to say. Why the wildly excessive fluffing language? Who are you trying to impress? Because that's what you do. When you speak articulately, you're just trying to impress people. It couldn't just be that you're smart.
So to be fair, you could break it down into smaller words. And
Sure.
For example, I've got a lot of time for Winston Churchill. His whole philosophy was that if he couldn't be understood by a 12-year-old, then he was speaking in a manner that was too complex. You speak in a manner that is more complex than a 12-year-old. Okay, so could you make the choice to simplify the language? Yes, you could. Should you have to? Well, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's just a part of your brand. That's how you choose to communicate. That's not you being pompous. That's just you using your vocabulary. That's all it is.
But my whole thing is, of course I can dumb it down. I know I can do that.
We all know you can do that.
TikTok and Instagram is full of dumb content. How about the opposite? How about I elevate you? And if you don't know the word, because there's plenty of words I also don't know, hence the whole little gimmick that we do on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know everything, but I'm all about let's raise people up. How about rather than trying to get me to water myself down, learn, open a dictionary.
Yeah. This is actually so important. One of the really groundbreaking things that someone once said to me that has never left me was that we can only think in terms of the words that we know.
Yeah.
We think in language, we think in words. And one of the gifts of learning a second language, which I haven't done, but I admire people that have, if you know multiple languages, you don't just know how to communicate with people in different languages. You know different ways of thinking because different languages have different structures. They approach things in a different way. Now, obviously, the differences between languages varies. That's not always true for every language. But if you know a diverse enough range of languages, you actually get access to really diverse ways of thinking. And one of the problems with AI, as we know, is that certain words are disappearing. Once a word drops below a certain percentage of use, AI stops using it, which means it drops even further out of use. And we're kind of watching a purge of words happening. And I think some effort is required to try and keep and resurrect some of those words. Again, hence exactly what you said. Your idea to do this with the book was fantastic. And
it's just fun.
But by keeping those words, we keep access to those ideas, to those thought patterns and processes, and to be able to think about things in more complex ways because we have more complex language.
Yes. And that's the biggest thing is, so for example, whenever you go onto TikTok, and I know you're a big consumer of TikTok content.
I binged it for 4 hours on the way down here in the car.
I have it, and I've toyed with this idea. I'm like, do I just post my Instagram content over there to gain an audience because you never know who you capture, but then I go on there and I hate it and I resent it. I'm like, just don't be on it.
Yep.
It's there. It's not for me. I know it's not for me. But when you go over there, it's like buzzwords. Everything that you watch has a list of trending words. Fascism, dictator, coercive control, narcissist. Like these just sort of terms that actually require substantial understanding to use them correctly, but they're bandied about by a bunch of kids who think they know what they're doing. That's why when I made that reel about aesthetic, like I'm not trying to shame you because you said it wrong. I'm trying to get you to realize that there is a powerful language there that you can use to help you communicate better. But when you just resort everything to slang, or because you don't know how to pronounce it or you don't understand it, you won't use it. That's actually killing your ability to understand these complex things. You aren't able to communicate clearly because you don't have the words for it.
Yeah. Whereas you and I kind of came down on opposite sides of that one, because from my point of view, if enough people do understand what it means, then it is a word. And adding new words to the language is not a bad thing.
Adding new words I don't have a problem with, but if the word exists and has existed and has substantial meaning behind it, and you just mispronounce
they're not adding new meaning. That's true.
It's not a new word.
They've got a different way of expressing the exact same idea. So in that sense, they haven't added to the language.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's not like they invented a new word for aesthetic.
Or for a new concept that hadn't been quite fully captured before.
This is one of those things that sometimes I have to look at myself and go, am I that cranky old woman?
You are a pearl clutcher. You are going to have so much fun in your 70s.
I can't wait. I'm going to buy the best rocking chair.
Yeah, rocking chair, pearls, knitting needles. Are you a knitter or a crocheter?
I'm a crocheter.
Yeah. Either is good. Either is good. Now, can we? Because I want to take this comprehension, this language, this able to articulate and argue ideas thing. Can we step across to the conversation?
Before we do that, we will. I've got that here, but I want to talk about why I'm really passionate about this.
Okay.
I am passionate about this because I am someone that was not naturally gifted with articulate language.
Yep.
And I'm not eloquent. I know that. And it's something that I aspire to be better at.
You've had to work at it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I'm not saying this like you can't do it. Like, how embarrassing for you. No. I'm someone that's working hard at it.
Sure.
And so I looked into this because, the backlash I got for that Abby reel from her ilk was that I spoke in a way that they didn't understand. And so, sorry, I didn't finish my point on it. Rather than listen to what I said, there was nothing derogatory about her. I actually said nothing about Abby.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about their relationship. I didn't talk about how he dresses, the way he looks. I talked about the PR strategy. Not one of them, not one person who was negatively commenting on my reel was able to retort what I said.
Yeah.
Everything that they were addressing was the fact that I was a hater of Abby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh? That's not even in the
certainly
reel.
Not fans, but that's not relevant to the point being
made.
No,
and I'm like, you're reacting to something that didn't actually happen. You've imagined this, and you're reacting to something that I actually didn't do. Anyway, and so this matters for a couple of reasons, because when you zoom out to take away from the situation, Abby and this reel, this is who we're up against. We're up against people who actually aren't even seeing reality.
Yeah.
They're arguing and they're reacting to something that's actually not even real. It doesn't exist.
So this is one of the reasons why a mainstay of my videos and what I do is taking articles that have been published in the media and breaking them down and showing the deceptions, the omissions, all of that stuff, because helping people to perceive better and to better comprehend what it is that they're seeing and they're reading is really important and really urgent.
It's getting harder too, especially with AI. Like there's a few things that have popped up recently and I'm like, ooh, and then I'm like, it's AI.
Yeah.
It's AI.
Yeah.
But so I pulled up this article from The Guardian, and this is talking about have men stopped reading? We need to take a deeper dive into the data.
Okay.
So this guy, Nick Evershed, was reacting to an ABC article talking about a decline in men reading. And there is a lot of statistics around this, and people in general aren't reading as much anymore.
Yeah.
And we know why. We all have smartphones. And I am now deeply researching what they call popcorn brain. Have you heard of this expression?
I actually have, but I can't. Help me out.
Popcorn brain is basically your brain.
My popcorn brain can't quite find the.
That's
the
basically
definition.
what it is.
Yeah.
We have burnt out those receptors of our brain that allow us to have that long-term focus on things.
Yeah.
And it's got something to do with our hormones. As you can see, I'm still researching it. I don't know enough yet. But essentially, our smartphones have made us regress biologically because we are no longer able to focus and to critically think. And because our attention is constantly scattered, there's so much holes in our knowledge. We're not able to retain things that we've read.
Yeah.
We're not able to recall things that we've seen. And so if you think popcorn, like you've got all these holes that you're not able to connect anymore.
Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because we talked before when it comes to retention, when it comes to memory, we can think at the speed of thinking, at the speed of thought, as fast as we can, and things don't tend to stick at that point. Then we can think at the speed of reading. One of the beautiful things about reading is that it forces us to think more slowly. We have to slow down. There's a comprehension process that has to happen. And you will remember more. And studies have shown that if you read something out loud, then you're hearing it, you're saying it, and you're reading it, and that's going to have the effect of making it stick a little bit better. But if you actually need to remember something, then you need to think at the speed of imagination. Because our brains actually log memories in association with story, in association with context. And the reason why it's so hard to remember facts and figures or data or things that you just happen to have seen on your phone is because, as far as your brain is concerned, those bits of information exist without context.
Yeah.
They were not a part of a story. They were a thing that appeared and then disappeared. And we're switching our focus from here to there to there to there. Nothing's connected to anything anymore, which makes it really difficult to remember because our brain was designed so that it would remember and retain information in the context of the narrative of the story of each day.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to be able to enter and switch worlds effortlessly and without context and reference to each other. Our brain doesn't know even where we are. We were supposed to walk through a day with people that formed its own story, and then we would be able to anchor memories in where we were, who we were with, what happened, what the weather was like. All of that was meant to be relevant and bake that memory in. And we have none of that context.
Yeah. And that's, when people say, oh, if I hear that smell or I taste that thing, it takes me back to a moment.
Exactly.
You're unable to form those anymore.
Yeah.
Because you have no concept of time. That's the weird thing because time is ever evolving for us because of our smartphone. And the same with the barrage of information that we're constantly processing. We're not meant, and the lefties will kill me for this, we're not meant to care about things that happen on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
They're not in our reality, not to say that they're not real.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
But us as an individual was never meant to carry that burden.
Yeah.
We're meant to be concerned with our community, our tribe, our people
the
around
things that
us.
you can see, the things that you can influence.
And I would argue that because we've taken on this enormous burden of global issues because of social media and the internet, we now are unable to even look in our own backyard, in our own community.
Or a lot of people use their concern for issues they can't influence as an excuse to not have concern for the issues they can.
That's a big
it's
one.
a get out of jail free card. I don't have to do anything about the issue in my backyard because you don't understand. I care so much about that issue over there. It's a shame I can't do anything about that one. What a shame, what a pity, but I care so much. And I'm so busy caring about that one that you can't expect me to do anything about this one over here. No, don't be ridiculous.
There's no better example of that than the Palestine protests and now the mass immigration protests, because they're protesting every week for a country that they have no citizenship in.
Yeah.
They have no legislative power over. They can't vote in their elections. They literally can't do it. They can't even go there.
Yeah.
And they'd rather hold our city hostage than sit there and talk about things that are actually happening in our city.
All right, do you want to finish your point about reading?
Yes. So essentially, there is turned off. There is a lot of literature around the decline in readership. And if we look at this graph, and again, data is so selective, and we're going to talk about that in a second.
Talk about that, yeah.
But on your right-hand side there, you have interwar. So that's your silent generation. You've got the baby boomers, you've got Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z. And you can see it's declining.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple of things around this. Like reading, is it books specifically? Do news articles on the internet count? Do ebooks on a Kindle count? Like what is reading? And what are they reading? Is it fiction? Is it non-fiction?
I mean, if you added up all the words that people would read while scrolling social media, it would add up to quite a lot of words over time, but no books.
Now, this came out July 30 this year. So the NAPLAN results again show 1/3 of students aren't meeting literacy and numeracy expectations amid calls for urgent change. So I'm not being hyperbolic. This is a thing. We know this. And I'm not saying there's one reason for this. There's a lot, right? And of course, there's always going to be outliers. You know, people go, oh, it's the poor kids.
Okay. But part of the reason is staring us in the face on the screen right now, because nowadays at the start of an article, what do they have to do?
I was about to make that point,
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was stealing your thunder. Please carry on.
TLDR.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah,
TLDR?
too long didn't read.
Too long didn't read. So now rather than even reading an article, because we can't even spend 30 seconds reading an article, we need to have a short summary of it at the beginning of the article. So they are so aware that we're skimming that they have to do these summaries. So since it's there, in short, the NAPLAN results have again shown roughly 1/3 of students are not meeting expectations in literacy and numeracy. The results also show concerning trends with students in remote areas, Indigenous students, and those experiencing disadvantage who are well behind their peers. Some academics have questioned the value of the test and warned bad publicity around NAPLAN is contributing to the teacher shortage.
Yeah. And this is the thing, words, numbers, and relationships. If you have a baseline acceptable level of understanding and grasp of those three things, then you're going to find your way in life.
Yeah.
But if you're falling behind on one, let alone two, then you are going to struggle. That is going to close a lot of doors for you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, And again, we're following the US. I can remember when I was in my teenage years, people talking about and laughing about the fact that I think it was about 1 in 10 college graduates in the United States were legally illiterate. About 10% were not able to read to a standard that made them legally a reader.
Yeah.
And yet we're heading down exactly that same path in Australia once again.
And I was just reading this really quickly. So there's been backlash to NAPLAN. And if you can believe it, it's considered racist.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And
is this more of that unconscious bias?
Yes.
It
yes.
gets me every time.
Yeah. And this is actually... That is the crux of the issue because we have data, we know there's a problem, but rather than address it, we're going to attack the data itself. Oh, no. This is not fair. This is, excluding someone.
Yeah.
This is why nothing gets done because rather than going, shit, okay, our young kids can't read, they can't write, they're unable to maintain focus. This is going to affect them long term through the course of their adult life. What can we do to address it? They go, well, since we can't fix the marginalised ones, then let's not worry about any of it because it's racist. And
at no point, no matter how bad things get, at no point are we allowed to say, for the sake of the kids, we're going to make the kids do the thing they don't want to do for the sake of their future. Like that's the whole point of parenting. It's the whole point of education. It's not that, we're going to teach them the thing they want to learn. There is a place for that, right?
Yeah.
Interest-based learning, taking advantage of those opportunities and moments that do arise. 100% there's a place for that. But to allow them to not learn the things that they didn't show an interest in or that they resisted, you are hurting that kid. You are abandoning. That's a form of abandonment.
Yeah.
To say, I know that you're going to need these skills in order to be a well-adjusted and successful adult, but you're making it hard for me to teach you these things right now, so I'm going to let you not learn them, even though I know I'm condemning you to a future that is worse than what it would otherwise have been.
I remember seeing articles about this, like homework is not fair, it's racist and all this sort of, like, because everything's racist, right? But, essentially saying
it's printed on a white sheet of paper, so I think open and shut case.
Well, yeah.
And black ink, come on.
When, you give kids homework, you're making them men slaves and all this sort of stuff. I've seen all sorts of bizarre articles. And they're written by academics and people who, honestly, the best I can say is touch grass. Like, literally go and touch grass. Because you're overthinking a lot of things. At the core of this, we have an epidemic of young people who also think it's cool to be illiterate.
Yeah.
As demonstrated by the critique on my reel.
Yeah.
It was not them refuting what I said. It was not them critiquing my points. It was them going, oh, you're using big words.
And it wasn't. They weren't saying, I didn't understand that. Oh dear, that's a terrible reflection on me.
Yeah. No,
They're saying, I didn't understand
it.
that.
You're
That's
an
a bad
idiot.
reflection on you.
Yeah. Wild. And one of them was like I didn't end up reading her comment, but one of them was an English teacher. Because, whenever I clicked on the mean comments, without fail, pronouns, live in Naarm or wherever, they, them, like it's hilarious. The stereotypes are so real.
So if you live in St. Albans, is that Vietnam?
Well, I did see someone write that. So the what's it called? Broadsheet? No, was it Broadsheet? Or Urban List. Urban List put up I sent you a screenshot, didn't I?
I don't know.
Oh, I did. It was funny. Urban List, like another one of those sort of, what's on in Melbourne kind of places. Come on, did I save it? I did save it. Here we go.
For the record, that was a funny joke, and I got nothing.
No, because that was a comment that was on this. All right, so this is a post from Urban List Melbourne.
I haven't seen this.
I send you so much stuff, you don't listen to any of it.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. The long-range forecast for Christmas Day in Naarm has landed.
Unbelievable.
What do you see? Tell me. Let's do a quick little assessment of what we see here.
Okay. Well, firstly, we have what should be a rainbow umbrella. I'm just trying to see, is that 6 or 7 colours? Because the 7 colours of the rainbow is the actual rainbow, and the 6 colours is the gay pride flag. I can't quite see from here whether that's a 6 or a 7.
They're different.
It's got a few different panels and shades. Yeah.
But it's 6.
But obviously, yes, it's Naarm. They're giving it its so-called indigenous name. By the way, Naarm was its name before it became a city and got developed and became worth billions, if not trillions of dollars in real estate value. So, maybe Naarm is the dirt underneath, but it certainly isn't the city on top. I don't know. What am I looking for?
Hang on. We're talking about the long-range forecast for Christmas, a Christian holiday, whilst talking about Naarm and then having the LGBT, the subliminal messaging there. I just thought it was hilarious. And then someone's commented, my uncle did 2 tours in Naarm. Fucking loved it.
Okay, well, I thought I was being original. Turns out I wasn't.
That's why I didn't laugh, because I'm like, I've heard this one.
You thought I was just ripping somebody else off.
But it's interesting because I told you there is a subtle shift. And none of these comments are nice.
Yeah, I don't think it's a subtle shift anymore. I think it's so. I flew Virgin Airlines up to Sydney last week, and we landed, and they did the welcome to country. I didn't have my headphones on at the time, and it wasn't strong, but there was a noticeable from a lot of people around me. They were doing it at a level where they thought it wasn't going to be noticed, but there was without doubt that happened around me.
It's a fatigue. That's the best way I can explain it. It's literally just people going, oh, shut up. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Give it a rest. It doesn't help anyone, not even Indigenous or Aboriginal Australians. This helps no one. This changes nothing. Can we stop, please?
All right. So I just want to play you one more reel because I thought this was really good. And this is from The Times. So,
Literate society. Here is why our minds, our culture and our politics is being dumbed down. For centuries after the invention of the printing press in the 15th century, reading was just for the social elite. But by the beginning of the 1700s, the expansion of education and the increase of cheap books meant that suddenly everyone could read, everywhere. Men, women, children, the rich and the poor. Historians have linked this explosion of literacy to the Enlightenment, human rights, the birth of democracy, even the Industrial Revolution. But now, books are in retreat. Phones are engineered to hijack our attention with endless notifications, pointless short-form videos, and social media rage bait. A new report, funded by Arts Council England, found that British adults are more likely to read social media posts than any other kind of content. Our universities are on the front line of this crisis, teaching the first truly post-literate generation, raised on clips, games, algorithms, and now AI. One Oxbridge lecturer I spoke to described a collapse in literacy among his students. A study of English literature students at American universities found that they were unable to understand the first paragraph of Charles Dickens' novel Bleak House, a book that was once regularly read by children for fun. Yet the benefits of reading are stark. Regular readers report sleeping well, feeling happier, and feeling less lonely. All the greatest minds of our society, From Albert Einstein to Paul McCartney read voraciously. Somewhat ironically, even Elon Musk, the owner of the social media platform X, said that he was raised by books. When students can't read deeply, they can't access the deep knowledge and critical thinking skills imparted by books. Most of all, our increasingly trivial and mindless culture is a calamity for our politics. Short video always rewards emotion over evidence. As tech erodes literacy and middle-class jobs, we are entering a political era beyond our imagining. So how do we fight back? The Sunday Times is asking people to read for...
Anyway, so they've got an initiative.
So again, there are choices to be made here. My son reads voraciously because I modeled that. He saw me read, he saw his mother read. And we ended up using, so he was kind of reading a little bit, but not a lot. And then we used the Premier's reading challenge as kind of a bit of a carrot. And he got hooked, and now he just reads voraciously. He reads anything. We buy him books. He swaps books with other kids at his school. He borrows books from the school library. He's just reading constantly.
I was going to say, a library still a thing? Do kids still go to the library?
No, they love the library. Yeah.
Okay.
Literally yesterday when I was out having that ice cream with my boy and my older girl, they got excited about the fact that school holidays are coming. We've got a really good library near us, and every school holidays they do treasure hunts where you got to go around the library and find certain things, and then at the end you'll get a pencil or something like that if you can come back and bring back all the clues to prove that you actually found all the things. They'll go and do that, and then my son wants to go on a screen, of course, so I'll say, listen, you've got to bring me 2 good books that I have to be happy are good enough and complex enough. And once you've read, you're going to sit here and you're going to read them. And once you've read both of those, you can go on the screen. But no, they love the library. They love books. They love screens as well. Like, let me be clear. Like, they're not only reading, but you can model this stuff. You can raise your own kids. And one of the things that annoys me about social commentary like that, this kind of doom and gloom idea of, oh no, this is happening. And there's, oh no, what are we going to do? Oh, well, raise your kids.
Yeah.
Like, start there. Raise your kids.
Well, I think that's what
different.
It boils down to, isn't it? Like I said before, we've taken the role of parenting away from the actual parents.
And this is such an important thing. Understand, if it's true that this generation is dumbing down, blah, 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 there's probably some truth to it, but also every generation has said that about the younger generation, literally for thousands of years. We have it on record. But even if it's true, then that just gives your kids an even greater advantage. Right? If I can get my kids to be competent with words, numbers, and relationships, and then add being able to think somewhat deeply and hold a thought and hold a train of thought and be able to do basic comprehension, if it's true that their peers are becoming a bunch of dumb imbeciles, then they're going to have such an advantage.
They're going to be superstars.
Well, correct. It's going to be tantamount to a superpower. Now, I don't think it's actually that dire in reality.
Yeah.
I really don't. But nevertheless, I'm not responsible for what happens to everyone else's kids. I am responsible for what happens with mine.
Yes.
And I can make sure that my children grow. I mean, we're already making plans to take Winston overseas next year to a very different culture, to any Western culture, to make sure that he gets exposed to that. He'll be 9 or 10, depending on when in the year we go. Make sure that he sees that. Make sure that he eats those foods. He hears these foreign languages. He sees that other people are living in ways that are completely foreign to him, but they're happy. And for them, it's normal. This is they can't imagine another way.
Yeah.
In some case, my parents did that for me when I was 7. I was very, very fortunate. I grew up quite poor most of my life, but my dad had one good year in his business, and at the end of that year, he took the family overseas. And I was only 7, so I don't remember everything that we did, but I remember enough. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm as open as I am to other cultures, other languages, other food, all the rest of it, is because in my childhood, I was exposed to it and I liked it and I enjoyed it and it was good.
Yeah.
So you're responsible for your kids. Raise your kids. If you're looking at that doom and gloom stuff going, oh no, all the kids can't read, make sure your kid can.
Yeah, well,
the kids can't think. Make sure your kid can.
That comes back to what I said before about, because we're so focused on things that are happening external to us over there, we're worried about all the kids and the trans kids. Well, how about just worry about your own?
Yeah.
When you say about going overseas when you're a kid, obviously I grew up overseas, right?
Yeah.
So Japan.
This is overseas for you.
Yeah. Japan is like my first memories. Everything happened in Japan. A very, very different country to Australia. And I've felt like an alien in this country ever since. I've never gotten to a point where I feel like Australia.
Alien on this planet, Molly.
Well, I am an Aquarian, and I was an Ubis, so.
Let's not go there, please.
Weighing the hearts.
Oh, gosh. Any new viewers that don't know the backstory from the last 47 episodes, can you believe it?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, continue.
So, I mean, I was exposed to so much. I had a full passport by the time I moved to Australia. I had seen like so much more than most people see in their adult life. And I'm not saying that to flex. That's just
That was your experience.
That's my normal, right?
Yep.
And ever since coming back to Australia, I mean, I've obviously been here 30 years now, but you know, going to high school, going to school, primary school, I was made to feel like the weird one. I was the alien.
Yeah.
You know, oh, that's not how we do things here. Oh, you don't know what Vegemite is. What the fuck's wrong with you? Oh, you didn't watch Humphrey B. Bear. You don't know what footy is. And you know, it just makes me really sad because again, I think a lot of the parents who are bringing up these young ones, they also are distracted.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. I don't want to say yes, they have agency. But at the same time, this is the culture around us. Why aren't you speaking up for Palestine? Why aren't you doing this? You know, and I think that's exhausting everyone's reserves of being able to have that care and consideration in their own lives.
Yeah, 100%. So can we?
Yes.
We've talked about comprehension. Can we move on to this guy?
Yes, let me pull this up.
Not Guardian, the conversation. Okay. So this is my ex-post in response. So what you're looking at here is a couple of things. There was a...
Do you want me to bring up her
scroll
thing?
down the bottom. Can you just enlarge that picture for me? All right, so this is a picture here. This is a screenshot that has come from an article published by The Conversation. And what they are claiming is that the much hyped in the media crime wave is fake. And it's fake because of this data here that we're showing in this graph. Now, anyone who knows how to read data and knows what to look for will spot the lie instantly. But this is, I think, partly why kids aren't taught how to think critically and how to really think deeply, because the government doesn't want people to be able to see through things like this. Not that this is a government lie. The Conversation is a separate organization, but people who can comprehend are much harder to control. The lie here is that it is the national recorded youth offenders, not offences. This is the number of people committing crimes, not the number of crimes being committed, and those are not the same thing. Now, they write this whole article around it, and I'm breaking that down in a video. I'm absolutely going to town on it because I think it's a disgusting piece of work, and I think the author is literally a shit stain on the underpants of journalism. It is one of the lowest, because it's such an important topic and because people are hurting, to gaslight people so obviously. And there are certain things that he said and ways that he said them in that article that I bring out in my video. I think it's intentional. I think he knows he's gaslighting people, and I think it's disgusting. But this is what was screenshot. Now, if you can scroll up a little bit, this has been grabbed. This was all over X. It was all over Facebook. It was all over Instagram. Now, Dan Fangirl is the one who's written this, and I don't have my glasses with. Actually, I
can read it to you.
Yeah. So what she said.
I love it when raw data debunks hysteria that works on gullible idiots who consume tabloid BS. Youth crime is down. That's the data.
Okay. That's a lie. That graph does not say that the youth crime is down, but she cannot comprehend the difference. I think she genuinely believes what she just said. But it's a lie. That graph does not show that youth crime is down. It shows that the number of youth criminals is down, and that's not the same thing. And the gloating that she's got here, what was our word for today?
Already forgotten it.
I've already forgotten it as well. I won't be able to find it because I closed the book. I shouldn't have closed the book.
What was it? Magniloquent.
Magniloquent. This magniloquence.
Talk about popcorn brain. Can't even remember.
Can't even remember the word. The magniloquence of how she is describing that data and how she is saying, "Wow, we've gone down. We've lost control of the show, everybody.
Too many tabs.
Bail out.
Popcorn brain."
The confidence, the aggressiveness, the mockery of the other, and yet she doesn't even comprehend the graph that she's looking at.
I like this response here. This is from a guy called Benedict. How do you even know how to post this chart? You seem incapable of reading them. Why post something you don't understand?
Yeah.
You realize you can make data show you nearly anything you like, suit any agenda. Here's an example of Vic, completely different to yours. I wonder why.
Correct.
And this says, it's a bit fuzzy, but it says number of youth crime incidents in Victoria. And as you can see from that graph, it is a steep incline.
So there's been a decline in crime across all age groups in Victoria from sort of 2010s all the way down to COVID.
Yeah.
COVID, it bottomed out largely because a lot of people were locked in their homes and so forth. And then it has been on an absolute tear ever since then. That data that you can see there is accurate. I don't know which category that's going to be. It might be the all category, I'm not sure. But all the categories look pretty similar. So what I've done is I've pulled out a bunch of data to show that crime is and particularly violent crime committed by youth offenders is absolutely off the charts. The highest levels since digital records began back in 1993, which it's pretty safe to say is going to be the highest levels in the history of the state. Right? That's the reality. But the conversation have come out, and their whole tagline is academic rigor, journalistic flair. That's their tagline. Like, we bring academic rigor. It's
by deliberately
disgusting
excluding key parts of the data.
And let me be clear for anyone that's wondering, and I show this in the video that I'm putting together, they do not go on to talk about the actual crime rates. In fact, they explicitly avoid it. They dismiss and minimize it. And they continuously talk about the offender rates, not the offense rates. They are deliberately misdirecting. This has been picked up and shared all around social media. And this is what pisses me off. This is part of why I got so angry on Monday, right? Because I don't mind when people say that I'm wrong. But comprehend the damn argument, right? Tell me that I'm wrong, having comprehended what I said and rebutting or saying, I understand what you're saying, but you're wrong. Right? This is one of the key problems. This is why people keep voting for idiots. This is why change is so difficult, is because basic comprehension is lacking. And I think, honestly, I'm not Machiavellian enough to say that they did it on purpose, so to speak, but I don't think the powers that be really actually care about the fact that our education system is failing, because they benefit.
Yeah, I would agree. I try and give people the benefit of the doubt, and I try not be conspiratorial, because it's a shit way to live, right? Like, I enjoy a good conspiracy theory like the rest of us.
Well, it's Occam's razor. Never attribute to... Sorry, not Occam's. Never attribute to malice what can also be explained by incompetence.
That is Occam's razor.
Is it? Yeah. No, isn't Occam's razor the simplest explanation is often the correct one?
Yeah.
It's Hanlon's razor, I think, is that one.
Yeah. And this is the thing, right? So when you look at this, you are being gaslit firstly by the government, and now you're being gaslit by the news organisations who sycophant for the government.
Yep.
I've brought up someone before, Johnny Harris. He has a huge YouTube, right? And he used to work for, I think it was Vice. Was it Vice? Yeah, maybe. I might have that wrong. Anyway, he used to work for one of those like independent, sort of edgy news organisations
but predictably left-wing.
That became incredibly left-wing.
Yeah.
Johnny just opens his mouth. He's left-wing, and I don't mind that he's left-wing, but he keeps trying to say he's unbiased.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and like, to be fair, his videos are fantastic.
Yeah.
The production quality of his videos are amazing. I quite enjoy them, but I look at Johnny Harris as entertainment, not as an unbiased news source.
Of truth,
because he deliberately leaves out really key things and the nuance and the context, and you can tell for his opening hooks, because that's how it all works on the internet.
Yeah.
You got to have your hooks. It is always slanted towards the left. You know what's coming.
Yeah.
And the problem is, because he has all that beautiful production quality behind it, and it's done in a way that sucks you in, you are like, it's literally propaganda. So he did something the other day about why billionaires are buying up entertainment and social media companies and something like that. It was something about billionaires. And from the outset, you knew this was going after Elon Musk. And so now what worries me about Johnny Harris is, like, he's got a very substantially large and lucrative YouTube channel. He's making big bickies. And now he's starting his own media agency. And he said the exact same thing you just said about the conversation. It's all about unbiased, independent.
Of course.
That means fuck all. We're all biased.
And I want to make a point here, because you're absolutely right. We are all biased. There are people that delude themselves into thinking they're not. When I launched the Aussie Wire, and it continues to this day in the TOFA project, I was very, very clear about my bias. Right? We speak the truth in defense of freedom for the purpose of bringing hope. I am not independent. I am independent. I am not unbiased. I am not neutral. I have a worldview, but I'm going to tell you up front that I have a worldview, and that's the worldview that I'm coming from, so that I've telegraphed it. It's public. You can't complain to me later. Oh, I didn't know that you were slanted. Well, it's why I laughed so much when the NSN came after me. Did you know this guy's not a conservative? Like, I've been calling myself a freaking libertarian for 12 years, you idiots, right? Like, I have been very upfront about what I am and what I'm not.
But that comes back to what I said about the reel as well. Like, I actually state explicitly in that reel, I'm a libertarian. And the article, the people coming after me, like, oh, the conservatives. I'm like, they're different things. And then someone in the comments was literally like, oh, libertarian's just another name for conservative. I'm like, they have vastly different principles.
You have failed a basic comprehension test at this point. Now, talk about failing. I bumped this sign earlier, and it's really.
Oh,
really
no, don't do it.
No, it's really.
Talk about rage bait. When I watched this back on Wednesday night with G,
Still not there.
that infuriates me to no end.
Problem is, if I go any further to get it right on the table, it's going to be wrong on the microphones.
Yeah.
This is going to do my head in. I've got
So
to
long
stop.
as
I have
it's
to stop.
somewhat straight with the bottom horizon line.
It's pretty. I can't. Everything's blurry. I can't tell. Hang on, dearie. Just let me put my glasses on.
Well, move the book and your phone because that ruins the set. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. See, it needs to go further this way, but it's already too far with the microphones on
And I
top.
think you've done.
No. All right. Goodness. All right, G.
So you put the
G,
bloody book back. Move your book.
G, we need you in here with a
ruler?
and maybe even a micrometer. Okay.
Okay. I just have a palate cleanse. We need one. I saw this
Desperately.
on Instagram. I loved it. Things like this just make me like get all teary. So we're gonna watch this and enjoy it together.
We are so getting done by for copyright.
Oh yeah, better stop that. Hey.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hopefully the helicopter.
Okay, so I'm assuming this is some sort of an ice raid.
No, so I'm going to read this to you. A dramatic scene unfolded in La Mesa when a US Customs and Border Protection helicopter made an emergency landing in the middle of a busy intersection, all to save the life of a four-legged federal agent. The US Border Patrol canine named Boo was bitten by a rattlesnake whilst patrolling the rugged Otay Mountain wilderness. Boo's handler quickly called for help, and within minutes, agents with a CBP Air and Marine Operations airlifted the injured dog by helicopter to a veterinary clinic. The helicopter touched down near the intersection, and surprisingly, residents and drivers who weren't sure what was happening. Fortunately, Bo received anti-venom and IV fluids and is now under observation. He's stable and recovering. I'm sorry, that is a good use of taxpayer money. You should be landing your helicopter in the middle of the intersection.
I hate to be that guy. I hope they did the maths on the hourly rate of running that helicopter versus the cost of training a new dog before they.
Nah, you're not even.
You are one of those people who would mortgage your house so that you could, I don't know, stomach pump your dog because he got into G's vodka or something. I don't know. You would spend the money no matter what.
I have spent the money.
Yeah.
I have spent
am not one of those people.
$9,000 on a hysterectomy for Imani because she got an infection in her uterus.
Yeah, $20 buys you a shovel. All right, like I am not one of those people.
Nah, I saw this and I was like, that's where my taxpayer money should be going. Absolutely. You better airlift my
move to
canine.
America and you can fund the canine airlifts all you want.
Yeah.
You're going to start Life Flight for dogs. If you ever become a billionaire, you're going to have like drones flying around picking up people's animals and taking them to the vet in emergencies.
You see, the problem is you've got yourself a toy poodle, and so you don't have the connection with a real canine. I've had Imani almost 16 years. Like, that dog and I are just so intertwined.
Are you sure? Because Imani sniffs my crotch too. Like, I'm just saying. She seems like a bit of a hussy.
I can't think of anything. Nah, abort.
Moving on.
Abort.
So much for a palate cleanse.
Abort. I thought it was good. So
Look, it's interesting. It's amusing. It's a waste of money, but that's okay.
Speaking of this is sort of going back to the literacy and school thing. I like sharing these things because I don't know if people are aware that this stuff's going on. So this is a article that was in the Herald Sun. And it's a bit rogue, but I thought it's worth talking about. So being an upstander, not a bystander, against bullies may do more harm than good, says expert questioning anti-bullying strategy. Now, obviously, the government is trying to throw its weight behind bullying issues. And I think every single person has been bullied at some point. I don't think it's a rite of passage. I'm not saying I'm condoning it, but unfortunately, I think it's part of growing up. I was bullied like significantly, and that's a story for another day. But so this is a psychologist, and she's come out basically saying that when you intervene, so if someone's on the sideline, Dr. What's her name? Karen Hallis, she's a psychologist with expertise in conflict and warns conventional wisdom on dealing with schoolyard bullying may not be the best approach. So essentially her argument is that if you interject and interrupt, it makes the person being bullied feel even more powerless. Yeah. And therefore it makes them look weak, and then the bully only comes back harder and more ferocious. And so she's saying that, involving yourself is actually the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
What do you think is the right thing to do with bullying?
Well, this is a very live question for me because my son's experiencing some of this right now. And
how old is he?
He's 9.
Yeah.
And it's happening on the bus on the way to and from school. And so I got wind of it, that there were verbal confrontations happening. And I'm open to the idea that my son might be doing the wrong thing, right? I'm not one of these parents who's like, oh no, my kid would never do. No, I'm like, he's 9, he's learning.
Kids are going to be kids.
Yeah, correct. So I went and I had a chat with the bus driver, who, I've dropped off my kids often enough. He recognized me, he knew who I was. And I just went and had a quiet chat with him in the front of the bus. I said, listen, I'm hearing that things are happening. Can you fill me in? I'm open. And I said to him point blank, I said, I'm open to the idea that my son needs to be pulled into line. Just tell me what's going on. He said, oh no, it's not your son. There are some other kids that they target him relentlessly. And verbaling, calling names, dragging him out of his seat, pushing him, that sort of stuff. And he said it's got to the point where he's had times where he's had to pull over and stop the bus to walk back there and tell his other kids to pull their heads in, but they'll go straight back to it. He said he's lodged multiple complaints with the school where those kids go, and nothing's being done. So I then reached out to the school and said, hey, there's this problem. They then said, oh, yes, okay, we take this stuff very seriously, blah, blah, blah. It said all the right things. Went and apparently had a word with those students, and I've been chatting with my son about it. Obviously, I'm just trying to keep up with what's happening with him. And sure enough, it hasn't gotten any better.
Yeah.
And so this...
And Winston hadn't mentioned this to you?
So no, Winston will take it all on the chin, right? And he'll minimize it. He'll oh no, it's not that bad. It's no big deal, blah, blah, blah. Well, do they do it to other kids? Oh no, just to me. It's targeted bullying at him. I don't know if it's to do with the fact that his dad's TOFA, because that kind of is a bit of a thing up there, unfortunately, and may mean that my kids are kind of subjected to a bit of that, which is unfortunate. It was one of the reasons I wanted to homeschool. But anyway, we are where we are. So I have to answer exactly this question. What is the right response here? Now, unfortunately, the kids doing the bullying are older and physically a lot bigger than Winston.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of dad, I'm like, well, I'll take you to self-defense classes. Make sure you know how to actually break somebody's nose.
Yeah.
And so that you deal with, because that's, in my opinion, that's actually the healthiest thing.
Yeah.
Is to train my son and equip him mentally, emotionally, and physically so that he can stand up for himself. Yeah. Okay? Unfortunately, if he were to actually do what, in my opinion, is the right thing and teach one of these kids a lesson, which would be difficult because they're older and bigger than him, like I said, if he was to do that, he will forever be regarded as the bad guy.
Yeah.
No amount of provocation, no amount of being targeted, no amount of being singled out, no amount of being pushed is ever going to justify that response in the eyes of the courts, if it were to come to that, let alone the school and everyone else. And this is a serious problem, because what other mechanism do you have other than me going to the school and making a big song and dance about it, the school coming in and intervening and doing exactly what this psychologist is talking about, disempowering my son even further, right? I don't have an answer yet. But I'm literally in the process. I'll read the comments on today's stream, and I'd really love to get feedback and thoughts from other parents who have had to kind of balance this conundrum. What do you do?
Can I give you some insight as someone who, I don't know if I've shared this story before, and I don't like talking about it because it is really dark. So I was relentlessly bullied by one individual through most of my high school. And she was originally in primary school, one of my close friends.
Right.
And for whatever reason, she just decided that, I am her personal punching bag.
Yeah.
It was so bad that I missed school for quite a few months because I tried to end my life. That's how bad it was. So I'm not saying that to what was me. I'm just trying to...
It was significant.
It was significant. It was really bad. And I didn't just try once. I tried a few times. And because in my mind, that was the only thing that would stop it.
Yeah.
Now, the reason it got that bad is because there was multiple scenarios. Everyone knew she was bullying me. It wasn't a secret. She was doing it openly in class. Yeah. And the teachers would be like, oh, stop that. Don't do that. The same kind of minimizing bullshit. And she would openly do the most heinous things to me, and everyone would be like, and would sit there kind of going, well, they didn't want the attention on them, so they didn't interject.
Thank you for the water, by the way.
You're welcome. I think I don't know this, but my assumption is that I think people were genuinely afraid of her.
Yeah. And
she was from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's one of the people in Tattle Life talking about me. It has to be her. Anyway, there was this moment one day where she pulled my hair so violently, right? She pulled a chunk out. And she was screaming and kicking me in front of literally like the courtyard, right? Where everyone was at was it morning tea or whatever?
Yeah.
And teachers saw it.
Yeah.
And kids saw it.
Yeah.
And not one person intervened.
Yeah.
Not one.
Yeah.
No one yelled at her for doing it. No one stopped her, not even the teachers, right? And bear in mind, my auntie was also a teacher. And most of those teachers knew my auntie.
Yeah, right.
So, and that was the moment. That moment is the moment that made me go, that's it, I'm out.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to
And-
make suicide comical. I'm saying that moment, being humiliated like that and not one person stepping in, was the thing that made me go, I'm done. I'm out.
Can I, and I don't want to kind of dig up. This isn't a therapy session.
No.
I'm not qualified. But was it that she did it to you, or was it that no one seemed to care?
It was the overwhelming humiliation that I didn't think I could come back from.
Yeah.
I was so humiliated that I didn't think I could go back to school the next day. And I didn't. I did not go back to school for almost 3 months.
So if for example, hypothetically, if that had happened behind the shed on the playground and no one else saw, it would have affected you very differently.
I think it
to
would have
how
been a
affected
totally
you
different experience, yeah.
Because it was in front of everyone and no one stepped in.
Yeah. And I think a lot of girls go through this kind of bullying. You go home one day and everything's fine, and then you come back the next day and then all of a sudden your group of friends don't talk to you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think boys do this, girls do this. And I could be wrong, but that's just...
See, boys, we will do it, but we need to have a fight.
Yeah.
Right, we have a punch on, and then you'll forget what it was.
Girls
the
are
problem that you
so
had.
much more insidious with the way they bully each other.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like, they'll get in the ear of all the other friends in the group and then all just decide to ignore the person. And then you have no idea why.
You don't know. You
have
happening.
no idea why.
Yeah.
And, then, back in the day, I'm sure it's different now. I'm sure you get it on digital, but, notes would be passed around.
Yeah.
Oh, we know what you said. We know what you did. And you're like,
I don't know what I did. Yeah.
Can you tell me so I know?
Yeah.
But anyway, so that bullying was so bad. And my parents were tearing their hair out. They're like, no one's doing anything. And long story short, it was a conversation that was had that I can't remember who said it to me, because it was obviously a pretty shit time in my life. But someone said to me, the only way she wins is if you don't go back to school.
Yeah.
Because the conversation was we'd taken Carly to a different school.
Yeah.
And they enrolled me in a different private school, and it was going to mean like I had to travel for half an hour. It was going to be incredibly difficult. I mean, my parents were willing to do it, but it was going to be really difficult. And I can't remember who said this to me, but it was basically like, if you move schools, she'll just do it to another girl.
Yep.
And she wins. Basically, something like that. And I remember thinking like, no, I don't want her to win, right? And for whatever reason that worked. And I went back to school and I took the power away from it. And so when it comes to, like, obviously that's my life, right? And that's why I'm probably a little bit like, I clap back and I get in and fight.
Yeah.
And, that's my lens on things, because I'm like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. And this is why it's so important, and why I am thinking very long and hard about what to do with Winston right now, is because this, so one of the, and this is getting very personal now, one of the kind of wounds that I've had to work through a bit more recently is as I'm getting some success now, and like we said earlier, your flaws start to come out, and I've had to drill down into some things about my own personality and figure out why there are certain things in my head that are what they are and do what they do. I realized there was a particularly seminal moment in my childhood, and I won't name names, but I was with somebody who should have stood up for me. I was in a relatively powerless position. I was there because I was with them, and they were the one who should have stood up for me. And I was being bullied by some kids at a playground. We were traveling. I've never been subjected to ongoing bullying. I've had contexts where bullying has happened. And this was just literally, we're there for a few days, and there were some other kids there, and they were horrible to me. And they'd spat on the back of my jumper. And I went to this person who I was with and should have been there to protect, and told them what had happened. And they said something which seemed quite dismissive, but then they started walking. They walked out of the door of the little villa we were staying in, the little like fibro hut that was like a glorified caravan park, basically. And I thought, oh, it's happening. Like, he's going to stand up for me. Like, this is happening. No, went to the communal laundry and started, moving laundry around. And I remember standing outside that laundry watching and realizing nobody stands up for me, right? And so there's that side of it. Yeah. And that left a mark.
And I think also when you're in your adolescence, there's a heightened sensitivity to it because your hormones are out of control.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, this sounds so silly when I say it out loud, but, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this. there's moments in your teenage years where you feel like no one understands you and
Sure.
all that sort of stuff. And I remember Linkin Park's album came out, Meteora. It's their second album. And there's a song on there, Numb. And then Trying to Be What You Want Me to Be, that song. What's it called?
I'm tired of being what you want me to be, feeling so faithless whilst under the surface.
I can't even, I'm tearing up when you say it. I can't listen to that song because that is the song that I was listening to when I tried to do what I did.
Yeah, right.
And every time I hear that song, I'm not sad about what I went through. I'm sad because it's like, that could have been the moment, that could have been the full stop, and it wouldn't have stopped her either. And I look back now and I go, I'm so glad that it didn't happen, obviously, but I'm also like, no, now I am here because I will be the full stop. And so people go, Carly, don't get caught up in it. Don't fight back. I fight back for a reason.
Yeah.
You don't have to understand it. But if I clap back, if someone's coming in my life, and I think back to what happened in COVID, and that's probably why it was so bad, because they did want me to do it. And it was the same thing that made me come out of it. You were there and a few others, and I remember thinking, they win.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you fucking win.
Yeah.
No. And so my answer to bullying, and this is probably like, not the right thing to say, is we should have every right to punch them in the fucking face. I'm sorry. That is the only way these people learn.
Yeah.
We've taken that away. Oh, violence is bad. No, it's not.
Yeah. Kids
Violence
need to have more
is
fist fights in the schoolyard.
warranted. If I had punched that bitch in the face in year 8 and fucking flattened her, she would have stopped. Because the only thing that kids know is humiliation, right? And that's the power of it.
And running off to the teacher.
Yeah.
And that's how the government wants us. They want us to always have
and that's
to come
what they
back
say in
to
the
them.
article. Go and report it.
Yeah.
What's that going to do?
Yeah. And this is in my case, obviously what you went through was infinitely worse. But these moments do shape us.
Yeah.
I carried with me for a very long time, and I've literally only now in my early 40s actually finally faced and worked through, why do I reflexively feel the need to stand up for others?
Yeah.
Why did I start standing up for farmers and irrigation water? It doesn't affect me. Other people be like, this makes no sense. Like, go and pick a fight that you actually have skin in. I'm like, no. What's being done to them is wrong.
Yeah.
Same with COVID, right? That was a fight we couldn't win.
Yeah.
Right. And I knew that going into it, but I had to fight it.
Yeah.
Now I'm proud of the fact that I fought. I'm not saying that that's a flaw.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm trying to understand, why was I different? Why was I the person that made that decision when so many other people made other decisions? And I think a lot of it actually comes back from, along with that wound of feeling like, well, no one ever fights for me.
Yeah.
Was a kind of an unspoken promise. I'll be the person that fights for the people that no one fights for.
Yeah.
Right? And it shapes you. It really does, in good ways and in bad. Now it's my turn to get emotional.
Yeah, it's hard not to, isn't it?
And so I look at my son, and obviously I care deeply about raising him to be prepared for the world, to be ready, to be able to make his way, to make his mark, to do what is necessary. And sometimes doing what is necessary involves stopping people from doing things that are wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes it actually involves not avoiding conflict or running to teacher or running off to daddy government. Oh, save me, save me. Sometimes it involves getting up out of the chair and going, fuck this.
Yeah.
Right, this ends now.
And I think that's kind of at the core of everything that we talk about on the podcast, because sometimes when people criticize me, they're like, oh, I wish she was more eloquent, or she should hold herself with more polish or be more professional. I'm sorry, but life does need to be ugly at times, and you cannot polish your way out of this. And, if I misspeak or I swear or things like that, that's because it's a very human reaction. And I think taking that humanness out of it by trying to be more measured or more polished or more professional, that's why we run into this. And you could say, oh, Carly, it's not a good thing punching people. I disagree. You only need to be punched in the face once to go, shit, that hurt. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
When you shame people, I say this about the youth kids, right? Like, to take it away from bullying.
Yeah.
A couple of fucking strong punches to the face would deter them pretty quick.
Correct. And this is why I'm saying the grown men in the lives of these young wayward men need to stop them by any means necessary.
Yeah. And, the problem is academia will never allow this to be a discussion. No. But as someone who literally has got a dog in the fight, I wish I had done that. I wish, and my brother, he didn't sort of get wind of it until later, and he wasn't even at school then. But he did beat the shit out of one of these kids at one point, not a girl, it was a guy, and just flogged him. And no one spoke about it.
Yeah.
It was done.
Yep.
And that was it. And then I probably shouldn't admit this on there, but I'll tell the story quickly. There was a house party at my house. This is like when I was in year 12. And there was one boy that was causing a lot of trouble. And he was, you know how there's always a delinquent, just a troublemaker? And you don't fuck around in front of my father.
Yeah.
Right. Of all the fathers, Peter Soderstrom's not the one you fucked around in front of. My dad's like 6'4", and when he fucking yells, it's terrifying. Yeah. Anyway, my dad went out one day and this kid was, causing a problem. And I'm not saying this is the right way to do it, but it stopped it. My dad grabbed the kid by the shirt, lifted him up like this, and threw him into the bricks of the house and spoke like a fucking demon to him. And he said, if you so much as open your mouth one more time, I will leave your imprint in these bricks. Something like that. And like this kid was fucking shaking. I think he probably wet his pants. Yeah. And every other boy at that party just went,
correct.
Your dad's fucking scary. I'm like, it works, doesn't it? Yeah.
Correct.
Why do you think I don't fuck around?
This is the thing. And if that happens to a boy when he's getting up and out of his place, when he's 12, 13, 14, 15 years of age, he doesn't end up in prison at 18 years of age.
And people will argue, it's not the right to, it's not your child. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because guess what? It stopped it.
So there was a whole TV miniseries made around this book called The Slap.
Yeah,
where
I remember that. Yeah.
And there was all this moral kind of ambiguity and controversy over...
Because someone else slapped someone else's kid.
Right? And it was a moment of kind of loss of control and all the rest of it. And there was this big kind of debate. And that's what the piece of work was designed to do, was to spark this debate about what's acceptable and what's not.
Yeah.
Now, you go straight to jail.
Yeah.
Go directly to jail.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, sometimes a kid needs more than just a gentle speaking to and, you're not going to be able to play on your PlayStation tonight because you haven't been good. No, sometimes they need to get pulled into line right now, a snap back to reality, to start using lyrics. But that is needed. We all need that sometimes. And especially, yes, when we're teenagers, the hormones are running wild. We've got crazy ideas going through our head and we need somebody who's lived through that and gone to the other side of it, who can look at us and for the right motivations, with love, because they want what's best for us in our future, to pull us out of that when necessary, by any means necessary.
Isn't it interesting, as a teenager, obviously you resent your parents at times, whatever, but now as an adult with a much more mature...
I'm amazed they didn't kill me.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I think back now, I'm like, the patience of those, of my mum and dad.
Like, I look at my parents a lot differently now. Like, there was definitely moments I was a terrible teenager. I think we all have been terrible teenagers. But I remember like the key moments where I resented them the most. I'm like, that was my parents at their most loving.
Yeah, correct.
They were doing the best they could. Yep. And there were certainly moments that, could have been handled better by everyone. But now I remember certain situations, I'm like, fuck. I'm so glad they did that. I hated them for it. And I wonder, nowadays, most parents are trying to be their kids' friends. Yeah. No, and they're being soft on them. I'm like, I don't think you love them enough because, man, if you did, you'd be passionate. I remember getting a fucking beating one day from my father. I can't remember specifically what it was about. I think it was about 14 or 15. And I was really good at the back chat. Yeah. Right. I always had to be the last sentence. And for whatever reason, and I rightfully deserved the flogging, by the way. I got the belt. And 14 or 15, I can't remember. And he hit me with it once, just enough. And fuck, I will never, I don't want to feel that again. And I remember thinking to myself, you're a monster and I hate you.
Yeah. And these days, you'd be able to run off to the police. And they would have an AVO on them instantly. They would be the family would get absolutely destroyed. Yeah. Because the dad did what was necessary.
And I deserved it. In hindsight, I deserved it. I was being a little cunt. Yeah. But and so these conversations, I mean, this is a heavy conversation, and I don't think there is necessarily a right or a definitive right or wrong. I think it's an evolving thing, but what we're doing right now is not working.
No, correct.
This gentle parenting, this cottonwood, this is not working, and we know this. Just look at these kids. And that's why before when I said, I know I shit on Gen Z a lot, I'm actually super passionate, man. And I'm passionate for a reason, because you are going to have a really tough time as an adult. Yeah. If 100%. You're not already.
And by the way, it has never been easier to excel. Like
Yeah.
if you can just get your shit together 5 years younger than your peers, you are going to be so far ahead forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like this is where it's really going to separate there's going to be a separation between these kids. And if we thought tall poppy was bad imagine, you've got privilege. No, actually, I
I
didn't
just
see the
worked hard
opportunity.
and-
Yeah.
correct. All right, what's next? We're nearly 2 hours in.
All right, so this one is Victoria specific, but you might have something to say about this. New laws given police power to unmask protesters and ban terror symbols.
Yeah, look, this is really interesting because I'm an absolute defender of the right to protest. We've been through that before. I don't care what your protest is for. I'm an absolute defender of the right to protest. However, we have to define what protest is and what it isn't, because the right to protest doesn't give you the right to burn down a building, doesn't give you the right to block an intersection for no reason because there's 20 of you.
Yeah.
Right? You could have been on the footpath, right? If there's 20,000 of you, sure, you're going to block intersections, but that's the public using public space.
Yeah.
Right? If there's 20 of you, you don't need to block an intersection. So we need to define what is protest and what is not. And in essence, from my perspective, from a libertarian perspective, should we have the right to force people to reveal their identities? Well, I can understand why the government is doing it, because there are people who are causing trouble. They are doing things that is well and truly outside of the definition of protest. They are engaging in violence. They are engaging in public disruption. So I understand why they want to do it. At the same time, requiring people to be unmasked in order to engage in protest is a very dangerous precedent to set, because, well, there are times when people are going to be peacefully engaging in actual protest. They're not doing the other things, but now they're unmasked. And unfortunately, I can guarantee you we're not that far away from a time when simply protesting against government policy is going to have consequences. It's going to have, you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose government contracts, you're going to lose whatever it may be. So as much as I understand why they're doing it, and there is, holding people accountable for actually criminal actions is important.
Yeah.
And we can't become so libertarian that you can't enforce the law, that you can't actually uphold basic decency. But I don't think that a blanket ban on face coverings during protests is the answer. I think having the resources on site for the police to be able to identify and arrest on site the individuals who are causing the trouble is a better solution. Deal with the individuals on the spot where possible is, I think, the better solution here.
I don't have an answer to this one, but I remember making an argument about digital ID a long time ago. This is before digital ID was on the table.
Yeah.
This was like 2021. So you got to remember where I was in frame of mind at that point in time. And I remember saying to people, I said this on my Instagram story and it got clipped, and then, those like far right extremist groups love to pull this clip out.
Yeah.
And I basically said that I believe if you're going to go on social media and say the vile things that you do, you should have to be known who you are. You should have to enter your government issued ID to use social media. And now, of course, everyone's like,
digital ID.
Yeah, digital ID.
Yeah.
But my context for saying what I said is I was getting rape threats and death threats and horrendous things being done to me. I was being doxxed.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was done by anonymous accounts. So that's my bias going, hang on, if you're going to openly threaten me and send me rape threats and stuff,
you don't even have to have your name or face attached to that.
Yeah, you don't get to be anonymous.
Yeah.
So I understand it from the other side. If you want to be a whistleblower, if you're trying to bring things to the attention that would otherwise get you punished, I see that side of it too.
Yeah.
And that's why these podcasts are 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because how the hell do you have this conversation?
How do you parse that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the reality is online anonymity is actually a myth.
Well, there's always IPs and all that.
Well, correct. And it's essentially how much resources is someone going to have to invest into unmasking you?
Yeah.
It's not possible to be genuinely anonymous on the internet. You can just make it so difficult that the amount of resources required to track you down isn't worth it.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, you can use the Onion Router, you can use your VPNs, you can use various things that are going to make it more, IP address scramblers and all kinds of things. You can make it difficult. But if you're El Chapo, if you're on the US most wanted list, I don't know, that's just
it's my computer went to sleep, sorry.
If you have a digital footprint, they can eventually figure it out. They can eventually find it. So
I know this because I have actually gone down this road. So little inside story. There was 2 or 3 particularly vicious people, but I've said this before. I will give Clementine Ford props for the fact that everything she said to me, she said from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
With her
right?
face
like
and
with
her
her
name
face and her
attached to
name.
it. Yep.
And I respect that.
Yep.
And same with my ex-business partner. But this other person made so many accounts, and thankfully Instagram took them down because the Instagram saw it for what it was. And then they were sending me like hate mail like daily. And I'm talking like 50, 60 emails daily.
Yeah.
Like, and isn't that, what do you call it? Like digital spam?
Online stalking.
Well, no, it's spam. When you are harassing people via email, it's a thing.
I don't know those laws.
There's new laws around emailing people excessively, and also when you're sending mass messages to someone's phone number. I forget the official terminology, but that's a crime too.
Okay.
Harassing by carrier service, I think it is. And so there was a crime. And unfortunately during COVID, when I took it to the cops, they laughed.
Yeah, of course.
But now I retroactively did that, and when all this Tattle Life stuff was going on, I was having a lot of conversations with people about what to do. And unfortunately, it is resource intensive and it's tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And there are 3 people I know who are actively doing it and they are spending the money. It's not that I'm not in the position. It's that I go, that's a lot of money and that's, what do you get at the end of it?
The opportunity cost of what that money could buy for you, and this is also though, we get criticised, and especially now that I'm moving into the new brand, the new phase. Yes, we're pushing the merch harder than we ever have before. Yes, I'm trying to monetize what I do more than ever before. One of the reasons is to open up new opportunities, be able to take the team to the US, to be able to do Battleground Melbourne in the middle of next year. The money for that's got to come from somewhere. There's all of that side of things, but the other side is actually, you have to protect yourself and your family. Now, we're not at the point where we need security yet, but for reference, for anyone that's not aware, the likes of Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens and others, love them or hate them, they have to spend millions of dollars a year on their own personal and family security. Right, they can't appear in public without a security person with them, for reasons that became very obvious with Charlie Kirk. They have to have physical security, actual people at their houses, outside their house at night, because the threats are real and the violence is real and people will target them. They need cyber teams that are actually able to track down people that are making threats online and these sorts of things, because the cops won't necessarily take an interest. They don't necessarily care. They will allow their own political motivations and biases to determine whether or not they're going to take your complaint seriously. And if you're on my side of politics, most of the time they're not going to.
Yeah.
And so money needs to be spent. Lawyers' letters, legal fees, the reserves.
That's a big one. The legalities. And I know that America's more litigious than Australia, but we're not far behind.
No. And to have the kind of financial reserve that allows you to not be afraid of being sued, right? These are really important things, because if you're on a knife's edge financially, then you're going to temper what you say, because you know that, this person sues everybody, and maybe I just won't do that story. Right now, I've never made that decision myself. I've always kind of just been boots and all. I'm just going to do it anyway, and so far so good. But I need to get to a position where I've actually got the reserves, where the other person looks at me and goes, "Oh fuck, I won't sue him because he's got the money. He's gonna bleed me dry." Right? Put the shoe on the other foot. We need to become financially successful, because it allows us to have the personal security, the digital security, and the legal security to be able to actually say the things that need to be said. Yeah.
And it's interesting, because when all that shit was going down with me, I remember people saying, sue these people for defamation. I'm like, I can't.
With what? With what money?
I don't have it.
That.
And they knew that.
They trade on that.
And it's interesting, because I think I said this a couple of episodes ago. When I Googled my name, I realized that most of those articles are gone now, but also they have gone in and retroactively changed it. And so it went from being definitive, she did the thing, to it was alleged, but nothing has happened. So it's funny, because every now and then someone will pop up and go, "Aren't you that woman from COVID? You're that grifter, you're that con woman." And now I am in a position to do defamation. You better believe, and I had this in the back of my mind, I was like, I didn't think she would, because I'm hoping she learnt her lesson. Abby Chatfield got done for defamation for saying that her best friend or ex-best friends supported genocide. Horrible thing to say. And he won. And not only did he win $75,000 in damages, he got his legal bills paid for. So she paid her legal bills, his legal bills, and the settlement. That, pardon me, that'd be easily $250,000. Easily. If she's lucky, that would be the minimum. And I saw this because, people were talking about it. Oh, she's going through a tough time at the moment. I'm like, yeah, man, she's had to hand over $250,000. She's learnt a very valuable lesson. Hopefully she learnt the lesson and she's not silly to do it again. Because I thought in the back of my mind, even though I didn't say anything about her, I was like, if she decides to go me and she dares bring that up, bitch, I have been waiting 6 years. I'm ready. I told you I'm in my villain era.
Yeah.
This will be where I come out and go, I'm so glad you brought this up.
So glad you said that.
Let's settle this properly.
Yes,
and
yes.
I know you got some deep pockets, honey. I'm going to come after you.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to be like that. It shouldn't have to be like that. But, that's the equivalent of punching an adult in 2025
And
is hit them in the hip pocket.
The fact is the world is like that.
Yeah.
And people with money will prey upon people without.
Yeah.
But they will treat people with money with a lot more respect. You don't go the Daily Wire for no reason.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because they're a $1 billion business.
Yes.
Right? You don't go, politicians and so forth because they can tap into government money for these sorts of lawsuits. We've got to get into a position where people think twice.
Yeah. Speaking of thinking twice, back on the education thing, I wanted to bring this one up. So this is a story from a little while ago, but I'm just going to play you the clip because they give it better context than I will right now. Let me go that one, and I'll start it from the start.
Nikki Gaylard feels betrayed and heartbroken about what happened to her daughter, Courtney.
Courtney just said, I didn't want to be there, Mum, but I didn't know what to do.
The mother of 6 is set to file a lawsuit against the South Australian government in Adelaide's District Court after a presentation at Renmark High School to Year 9 girls last year allegedly referenced bestiality and incest, presenters using the terms sister love and brother love.
And my daughter comes home and feels uncomfortable hugging her brother because she's confused about whether that's because it's her brother.
Miss Gaylard says the girls were also shown graphic images of a topless woman post-gender transition surgery, the surgical scars visible. The mum withdrew her teenager from the school the same day. School principal Matt Evans apologised at the time for the inappropriate material and for not seeking parental consent ahead of the presentation. The South Australian Education Department suspended provider Headspace Berry from delivering the Respectful Relationships program to public schools. Ms. Gaylard says she's taking legal action to ensure this doesn't happen to any other family.
So do you remember when Respectful Relationships was first kind of being debated, it was first coming out? Did that cross your desk at all? It was a couple of years ago now. And people said this is a Trojan horse for transgender ideology, for all kinds of inappropriate stuff, certainly inappropriate for people who aren't yet adults and are still forming their ideas about their own sexuality, let alone relationships. It's all awkward and weird and hormones and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
How old is someone in year 9? Like 13, 14?
Yeah.
Somewhere around that kind of range, right?
Yeah. And that's year 9's the worst year for kids.
Honestly, there need to be criminal charges against whoever brought that material and presented it to minors.
Yep.
Right? How is that not up there with the university lecturer that put kiddie porn up on the screen?
It's the same shit in my mind.
It's like I wouldn't say it's the same shit, but it's got to be not that far off. You're going in front of minors. I mean, grooming minors.
I was about to say, this is grooming. This is grooming. And again, under this suicidal empathy, this, I'm going to say the word, it's retardation.
Yeah.
Where you go, oh, it's not, no, that's not going to happen. We need to have these conversations, knowing full well most of these people are fucking creeps.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, most of the people that are actually involved in this are really pieces of work. But that's that thing, suicidal empathy, yes. But also the denial.
Yeah.
Like, we were told this isn't what the Respectful Relationships program is about.
Yeah.
And
meanwhile, yes, it is.
Right?
I remember once, this is like random, but when we were kids, the website rotten.com.
You've told me about it.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It was never a thing for me, but yeah.
It was a rite of passage. You had to be there.
Yeah.
But anyway, my brother's 5 years older than me, right? So I was exposed to things that maybe before my brain deserved to be exposed to them. And there's a handful of things that I remember specifically from rotten.com. And one of them was Tupac Shakur's autopsy photos. Jeffrey Dahmer's murder scene photos, I remember seeing those at 10 and not understanding them. This is fucked shit.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have looked at it.
Yeah.
But you're a
not.
kid, you're curious, your brother's looking at it, you want to look at it. You know, I was 10, my brother was 15. There's a huge
Big
gap
difference.
in maturity
Big
there.
difference, yeah.
And of course, like the little sister, what are you doing? I want to see. No, you can't look. I want to see. You know, so I'm my own worst enemy. But there was a thing that went viral, and it went viral through the school. And I remember this. So, I love how my stories become talking points for the podcast. And it was a woman that was being hugged by a horse.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You can read between the lines.
And the horse was really into the hug.
The horse was very enthusiastic.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is now one of those infamous internet videos, early internet days. I think most people have seen what I'm talking about. And that went everywhere. And it became a talking point. It was an issue at the school.
Yeah.
And how does one have this conversation? It's a delicate one because it could be the Streisand thing. You know, how many kids actually saw it?
Yeah, that's right.
Was it 5 or was it 50? And if you address the entire class, are you now exposing the entire class to bestiality?
Yeah.
Like, tricky.
And it's funny how our brains work. So there are people that swear black and blue that they can remember sitting in the cinema and watching the scene in Bambi where Bambi's mother gets shot. Thing is, that scene doesn't exist.
Doesn't it?
It never happened. Right?
I know she dies.
You find out that you don't even, it doesn't even say that the mother's been shot. It's implied.
Okay.
But
I
it's
haven't
not
seen
actually
Bambi
explicitly
in
said.
30 years.
The same thing, just speaking of early viral internet sensations, did you ever come across the video 2 Girls, 1 Cup?
Oh, God.
Okay, no, but here's the thing. I don't know what went through your mind, but the video that they were allegedly watching doesn't exist. But there are people who swear black and blue that they saw the video that the girls were watching, right? Because what you're watching is actually a video of girls watching a video and reacting to it. But people have created in their minds.
No. Hang on. I can't believe we're talking about this. I have seen the video of the 2 girls and the 1 cup and what they do. I have seen it explicitly, and I think I've watched maybe 45 seconds.
Well, I will be interested to see the comments and see whether anyone can dig it up. Because as it happened back then, there was a reaction video and you were told what was happening.
No. I definitely saw what was happening. I definitely saw the moose in the cup and the regurgitation of that's all I'm saying. I saw it with my own eyeballs.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you know who showed me that? My boss's brother, who was gay. And I got shown that at the ripe old age of 23. At work, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was at work and my boss was there.
That's probably a trip to HR for him. Yeah.
Lucky it was a small business and I'm not that kind of person, but I was like, wow, this is...
So, the fact that you're gay doesn't get you out of this one, buddy. It's,
funny. What? Yuck.
So, we were talking about...
have you seen it? Have you seen the video?
I don't...
It's real. Like, I'm not pulling it up on the podcast, I'll tell you that much. It's real. It's real. I've seen it with my own eyeballs. Do not gaslight me. I know that's real.
All right. All right.
Anyway, I need a palate cleanse.
Okay.
I've got a funny one.
Yep.
Let's laugh. All right, this is a skit.
You're the man, but not too much of a man, because that would be fucking sexist.
It's that.
Hey, babe. My lingerie got mixed up in your washing again. My pronoun is whatever Abby tells me it is.
Sorry, I'm doing that to get rid of the copyright.
Go out and buy my girlfriend's finger paintings. Oh yeah, Abby, you taking me for a walk? Fuck yeah. How progressive is this? You walking.
Anyway,
yes.
That's gone mega viral at the same time mine has.
Yes. Yeah, look, I don't think they're winning a lot of friends here. I think your insight is great that they've mistaken saturation for brand.
Yeah.
And yes, they're getting saturation now, that's for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I just needed to what we just talked
well, yeah,
about.
let's move on. Let's not talk about it.
I had a couple of little side ones here that I'm just looking whether or not they're worth talking up. Maybe this one's a good one because I just like giving people some good news.
Yes, this is good news. The continued return of sanity.
Yeah. I think this is this is a good thing and it should be this. And this is the definition of Christmas. And even though I'm not a practicing Christian, I stand by this.
Yep. And notice how Xmas, when was the last time you saw Xmas?
Yeah, I haven't seen, good point.
Right.
I haven't seen Xmas for a while.
It's been a long time.
I've seen Nam.
Yes, yeah, you've seen Nam. But even when they talked about Nam, they said Christmas, not Xmas.
They did.
Right? Now, it was, what was it, the 2000 teens? It was all Xmas. That was you were made to feel guilty for having said Christmas. It was probably 10 years ago or so that really became a thing.
Yeah.
Long before COVID.
Yeah.
And now, we're saying Christmas again, are we?
Yeah. The shift is there.
It's real.
I have to remind myself sometimes I exist in a bubble.
Yeah.
And when I get, inundated with wokeness, I sort of go, things will never change. And then I go, oh, no, it's there.
Yeah.
It's there. It is dying.
100%. This is nice. From my point of view, I mean, I am a Christian. I think that the life of Christ is literally the single most pivotal moment in human history. There is before Christ and there is after Christ. There's a reason why when they sort of developed the Julian calendar, etc., they picked the life of Christ as the turning point for their particular calendar, because I think it's the turning point for history. I think commemorating both his birth and his death and then his resurrection it really, really important for far deeper reasons than just the cultural ones, just the familiarity. Oh, I like it. It brings the family together. That's nice. That's good. Okay. It's not a bad thing. But I think there's so much more to it than that. But also the rejection of those rituals, the rejection of the nativity scene, the rejection of Easter, etc., was also much deeper than just a superficial cultural thing. It was a spiritual thing. It was an attempt to reject the idea of God, our Judeo-Christian roots and the foundation of our civilization.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very pleased to see that a lot of that's coming back. There are so many good signs. We've talked about this, particularly we talked about it around the time of Charlie's assassination, because it obviously was particularly relevant and particularly striking then. People going to church, people saying, "Hey, I'm gonna check this thing out," and not going to the latest progressive churches. Actually saying, "No, I'm going to find an Orthodox church, a Catholic church, a high angle. Like, give me the old, give me the tradition, give me something that predates my grandparents, because whatever's happened since then has been bad. So give me that." Right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a beautiful thing.
I do, but I'm terribly sorry to now burst your bubble.
You're going to bring it down, are you?
Yeah,
yeah. So this is the progressives.
Have you seen this?
No, I've not.
All right. I apologise. It's a bit long, so I'm going to fast forward to the bit where he gets to the point.
Talk about myself. So imagine.
I think it's somewhere. Sorry.
Into ministry. And so I am inviting you to join me in a season of creative transformation for myself, and I think for all of us. Imagine, so I get to announce with joy that I'm transitioning. I'm affirming and saying to all of you that I am transgender. And so the best way to put this is that I'm not becoming a woman, I'm giving up pretending to be a man.
I'm sorry, this is evil shit.
Giving up pretending to be a man. So, this is going to get me put in prison.
Rip.
Let
it rip.
From a Christian point of view, there he is. He's standing in his robes. He's got the candles behind him. I don't know which particular tradition he's
Methodist,
in.
United Methodist.
United Methodist.
I don't even know what that denomination is.
God made you the way you are for a reason. And rejecting that is literally rejecting
women's down, you put it in a song.
Sorry.
Literally rejecting God's design. And guess what? The greatest and deepest source of happiness is to live your life in the closest relationship with God and God's design and purpose for your life. He knows and loves each and every single one of us. The scripture says he knew us before he made us, right? He had this idea in his head of who he was going to create. And it's no coincidence that so much of the rejection of God, so much of atheism, so much of this post-enlightenment woke movement is about the rejection of your identity. Guess who gave you your identity?
Yeah.
God did, right?
Yeah.
So it's a rejection of God. It is trying to take you as far as possible away from God's purposes and plans for your life. And that can take many, many different forms. Transgenderism isn't the only form of this. There are so many different forms. And we're all guilty of it to one degree or another in various areas of our life. But this is an effort to drag you away from God's design and purpose for your life. I have deep sympathy for people who do not believe that they're in the right body, right? That would be a horrible thing to have to live with. I do not deny the existence of
I
that.
got in trouble last time I said that on the podcast.
Did you?
People like, oh, Carly, you're the problem because you believe in this delusion. I'm like, no, it's a real
there,
thing.
There are delusional people.
Yeah, transgender people do exist.
Yes, the mental delusion that you should be in a different body to the one that you're in exists. It's real. I believe it's a form of mental illness, and I believe that we should treat it like any mental illness, and that is to try and bring people's mind back to reality, not to try and change people's reality to suit their mind.
I'd go one step further, particularly in today's environment. It's a social contagion.
There is that element of it as well. They're trying to climb the oppression totem pole, and all of that side of things is very, very true. But ultimately, are there people that genuinely actually believe that they're in the wrong body? Yes, there are those people. Those people exist. And that would be a horrible thing to have to live with. I've never had to deal with that, right? But there are people that do. I would like to see those people set free from that, but I would like to see them set free by coming to terms with who they were made to be, their created being.
Yeah.
God has a purpose and a plan for each and every one of us. Now, we live in a fallen world, right? This is the thing that people get mixed up. They go, oh, well, if God made me, then why did he screw this up and screw that up? And why aren't I, different or better, or why aren't my circumstances better? We live in a fallen world. We live in a world that has the consequences of the fact that Adam and Eve rejected God's design for creation.
Yeah.
They sinned, they broke God's word. And I'm not going to go deep into the theology of this, but the word of God is literally the fabric of our universe. The laws of physics are literally the word of God. God spoke and the universe came into existence. So when we break God's word, we break God's creation.
Yeah.
Those two things are the same. The creation that we live in today is a broken form of what God created. That's why there is suffering. That's why there is death. That's why there are evil people who do evil things. That's why there is suffering. God doesn't delight in any of that. God didn't create you to suffer. He created you to be in fellowship with him. We broke the world that he created. Now, God is restoring that. That's what Jesus was all about. That's why I think he's the most pivotal figure in all of human history, and that'll never change. He will always be the most pivotal figure in all of human history because he was a part of God's plan to bring us back into fellowship and to restore the brokenness of the world. So without going further down that path, when I hear people, when I see people like that priest or pastor or whatever they call him in the Methodist Church saying that, I grieve. I feel really sorry because that pathway does not lead him to happiness. And we know this with the detransitioning movement. So many people went down that pathway because they were sold the lie that this is what's going to make you feel whole and healthy and like yourself. And for a time, maybe it does. But for so many people, they realize I've gone down the wrong path, and you can't undo. You can't just backtrack. You can't go back to where you were. And it's just such a tragic thing. They're selling a lie. They're selling misery. People say, oh, you're transphobic, you hate trans people. No, I want them to be happy. Yeah. But that pathway, the stats increasingly are proving that the pathway of transitioning is not the pathway to happiness.
Yeah. I'm going to pull up something in a second, and I'm going to just make sure this works. That's what I wanted. Thank you. All right. So firstly, I want to talk about Karen and what she's doing. But before we get to Karen, I'm just going to show you this little clip. So this has gone viral, this person in the background.
Yes.
So we'll play this in a second, but this person is now being uncovered because, she's an interesting looking character.
Right.
And people have discovered her name is Sue Wiebeck,
right.
CEO of Domestic Violence Crisis Service, ACT. Okay. Now, domestic violence, very serious, not trying to make light of this in any way, shape or form. If you go to the website of the Domestic Violence Crisis Service, ACT, what do you think would be the first thing on their homepage?
Well, I would have thought if you are in domestic violence crisis, contact us. That would seem to make sense. Okay, I'm going to
show you exactly what pops up when we go to their website. That's the first thing we see.
Well, that's more important than the fact that you got beaten up. Yeah.
Yeah. So we take domestic violence so seriously that we firstly need to virtue signal to you. And then we get to go into it.
Yeah. Nice.
And this is why the wokeness stuff, this is why they lost, because they put it everywhere.
They put it absolutely everywhere. And, saturation. That's literally what your reel was about.
And that was the only reason I brought that up, is because we can't take your actual comments seriously, because before we even get into the meat and bones of the topic.
Yeah, we have to go through
we've had to go through the pantomime.
Now, can we get to that video? I did a whole video on this video breaking down some of the key points here. And I just want to highlight this. Have a listen. She's talking about e-safety. She's talking about the abuse and domestic violence and coercive control using technology. That's something that anyone can do,
Yeah.
male or female. Now, we know that the statistics are that 1/3 of all the people murdered in an intimate relationship murder are men, which means 2/3 are women, which is tragic and unacceptable. But it's not like it's 20 to 1, right? It's 2 to 1.
Yeah.
Right? So men are victims to the point of being killed.
Yeah.
Right. So you can imagine that if 1/3 are being of the fatalities are men, and killing someone's hard, like it requires physical strength or planning or whatever it may be, right? You could imagine that at least 1/3 are going to be the victims of other forms of domestic abuse.
Yeah.
So coercive control is the kind of thing that a woman could do.
Yeah.
Right. We've all come across, in the case of blokes, most of us have had that batshit crazy girlfriend who wants to be controlling, or we've seen our mates go through that. Right. That exists. That's real. Watch this video and ask yourself whether male victims of domestic violence exist in the mind of the E-Karen.
Okay, let me just pull it up. So this is, what's her name?
It's a couple of minutes long, but it's worth listening
Tanya
to.
Plibersek. She's holding a media conference there in Canberra with the E-Safety Commissioner and a number of other people about improving online safety. Let's have a quick listen in.
What happens
Okay,
when
this
this
isn't the video I thought
technology
it was.
is
No, it
used
is
for
after.
harm,
Okay.
not good? I'm going to hand over to the E-Safety
okay.
Commissioner now, and we'll do questions at the end. Thanks.
Have a listen. Do male victims exist?
Thank you, Minister, so much for your leadership. We know that technology can be used as both a tool and a weapon. We want it to be a lifeline for women. But throughout the course of eSafety's 10 years, we've been consistently training frontline workers because we know that technology-facilitated coercive control is almost ubiquitous in family, domestic, and sexual violence situations. So,
Sorry.
with the generosity of DSS, we have stood up the world's first national technology-facilitated abuse
Why
service.
are we always first?
We've had 20,000 frontline workers utilize our self-help hub, where we have technology audits and updates beyond the cat feeders and the refrigerators. A perpetrator can use a Lime bike. And today we're talking about smart cars because they are essentially computers on wheels today, and we don't want them to become weapons on wheels. By 2031, 90% of all cars sold in Australia will have telematics systems. They already have GPS. You can remotely control or lock or start the car. You can prevent an EV, for instance, from being charged. And these are the types of things we're hearing from domestic frontline workers are happening to Australian women today.
Australian women.
So we're here. We've worked with about 400 domestic frontline workers for really complex cases. Why a woman or her children are being gaslit, cannot figure out why her ex-partner knows where she is. And we've pretty much seen everything under the sun, including children used as pawns in the surveillance of their own custodial parent. And this can happen through the gifting of iPads or iPhones with spyware on them, a new gaming system with a camera that shows who the mother might have as a guest in her home. So again, we want technology to be a tool and a lifeline, not as a vector of abuse. And so we continue to provide service to the broader public, and today we put out an online safety advisory specifically around smart cars. We've done a number of these around coercive control and changing attitudes of young men around romantic relationships, where they think that they should be able to have the passwords of their partners. They should be able to expect immediate responses to phone calls and texts. And we need to change these attitudes and make sure that we're keeping people safe with the technology that we use every day. Thank you.
So you want to know why Andrew Tate gets as much traction as he does?
Yeah.
It's because people believe that it's a choice between him or her, that there's nothing in between. There is either the complete erasure of male victims of domestic violence and coercive control and all the rest of it, or Andrew Tate.
You know, G and I were having this conversation last night, and so sorry, I'm going to dance around this a little bit, but let me just get this all together. There was a comment on my reel, the Abby Chatfield one, not him. Sorry, the other one. Anyway, and it was. I love that this Adam Hyde guy is a positive example of new masculinity, of showing that he adores his girlfriend, and people are out here saying that's a terrible thing, and well, they just want women. Basically, their comment was, he's a healthy example of what a man is because he's not beating his woman, because every other man prior to this guy coming onto the scene beats his women. And my comment before it got too heavy was, I'm really sorry that's your experience with men. I happen to have a beautiful, loving man that loves me and supports me in my work and champions me and is masculine. They do exist. I'm not saying that all men are great or all men are shit. And then I said, actually, every man in my life, I would say, is of the same caliber, whether it's you, G, people on the Oddies, like... I have definitely met some shit men. They're not in my life.
No, neither of us are denying their existence.
And I would say that with good authority that most men are good. I can point out a handful of very shit ones. And I've told the story of some of those shit ones before. And then this girl who wasn't in the conversation, but, she's obviously seen my comment and she's interjected. And she said, oh, tell that to the 200 plus women who were murdered by their partners this year. I'm like... Whoa. Okay, so in your mind, because 200 women have lost their lives, terrible, fucked, hate it, don't support it, in a population of 27 million, 200 murders, I think it's 200 perpetrators as well, I could be wrong, but 200 men have killed 200 women. Terrible, hate it, just for the record. The other men are all terrible.
That's right.
So because 0.00 something % of men are homicidal cunts, all men are terrible?
Now, to be fair, in order for 200 to have murdered, there are a lot of others that are doing all kinds of other horrible things. But the reality is...
But it was that inability to see any nuance, right?
Yeah, correct.
All men are bad because 200 were murderers. And
then you go, well, okay, so the figures I think for the year that I was looking at was something like 100 and... Oh, gosh, I'm not going to get this right. Anyway... 1/3 of all of the victims were men, of the fatalities, right? But if you were to reply and say, well, yeah, okay, so that's true and that's tragic and that's horrible, and if I was aware of anything like that happening in any of the relationships that I'm aware of, I would try and figure out how to intervene and what to do and et cetera. And I have done, by the way. I have referred women, in my experience, it has been women that I've known that have been experiencing domestic violence, and I've referred them to proper support services. And they've been able to get that help. And in one case, they managed to reconcile, and in 2 cases, they've ended up divorced. But in all 3 cases, the violence has stopped, right? So I'm not denying the existence of violence against women. It's a horrible problem. But if you were to turn around in that comment thread and say, well, yeah, but there's a bunch of women that have killed men as well.
Oh, you can't make that comment.
You can't. And how dare you? And the 200 women that were killed are everything, and we're going to use what happened to them to tar every single man, but we're going to completely ignore the death of any man. Right.
This comes back to what I said at the beginning of this podcast, where you cannot have these arguments in little clips or headlines. They require a 3-hour podcast to digest, because the murder is disgusting. I hate it. I advocate for... doing the right thing here. And I think I said a couple of podcasts ago when we were talking about this, the response to the allegation that a man was about to kill his wife was correct. But the problem is women now weaponize that.
Correct.
So I believe the police did the right thing, but unfortunately women are now going, aha.
But because the police are known to respond like that, that's why women are able to go, aha.
Yeah, and you said it was like an equivalent of swatting.
It's like getting swatted, yeah.
And so I'm not trying to correlate, I'm not in any way saying these are the same thing, but we talked about that AFL footballer that spent the last 18 months in,
under a cloud being prosecuted,
with rape. It's not ruined his career.
It's set his career back.
Yeah, it's certainly impacted his career.
Imagine the stress and just the anxiety around
that. And as you said, the process is the punishment. We've had that. I'm not at all saying it's the equivalent to someone losing their life, not at any way, shape or form. But this conversation around domestic violence, it requires so much nuance. And when you deliberately exclude big parts of the population or people who are victim to this.
Or just demonize an entire category.
Demonize half of humanity because they happen to be men. then you're right. This is why we get Andrew Tate and
Yeah.
we get all these alpha bros.
That's right. That's right. And you know, you're allowed to use certain statistics, but you're not allowed to use others. For example, who is more likely to kill their own child, a biological mother or a biological father?
The mother.
The mother by a country mile. Now, interestingly, stepfathers, way more dangerous,
Yeah, okay.
right? But biological mother or father, the biological mother is far more dangerous to their
Yeah.
kids. But that doesn't matter. We're not allowed to use that to reflect on women. I couldn't possibly tar every woman because women are more likely to kill their children than men are likely to kill their own children, right? You can't use that statistic like that. But the fact that 200...
There's nuance to that
Yeah,
one.
that's right, yeah. But the fact that 200 scumbags killed their wives, that can be used to tar every single man.
We can weaponize
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And it was interesting. So not to keep going back to that comment section from last night, but I found it utterly fascinating because some of the arguments, they were straw man arguments at best, but also they have such confidence and conviction in their arguments because do you know why? All of this stuff is little clips and they just get parroted over and over. And that's the only way these people can communicate. I heard this clip. I'll use it. I'll repeat it.
I had this really pissed me off. I was having a chat with someone that I know and they're not at all on our side on anything. And there were other people around and a voice, I was tuned out of the conversation. I heard a voice say, oh, what happened to Justin Bieber? He's kind of disappeared. And before I realized who it was that had even said that, I said, oh, he got a vax injury, right? And I might as well have set the room on fire. And so, of course, the fact-checking began.
Oh, God.
What does the fact-checking involve? Well, a quick Google to discover that actually what he's got is like the more advanced version of the chicken pox. It goes into...
Bell palsy, didn't he?
No, it wasn't Bell's palsy. The symptoms are very similar, but it's not actually Bell's palsy. It's another thing. Varicella, I want to say something varicella virus. Zoster varicella virus, I'm pretty sure. If I've pulled the right thing, there's a chance I haven't, but if I've pulled the right thing out of the back of my brain, then I think it's the Zoster varicella virus. Now, they said, oh no, it's this thing. It comes from chickenpox. Implication, therefore you're wrong. Right? Now, I've done a video on this. And I have the study, I could have pulled up the study that actually investigated the connection between the rise of exactly these sorts of reactions.
Yeah.
Because once you've had chickenpox, it remains in your system.
Yeah, and you just have to activate it.
But what makes it express?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out mRNA jabs help to make it express. All the data's there. Do you think I can be bothered? Right? If the depth of this person's understanding of the world is, I did a quick Google and the AI extract told me, right?
Because Google couldn't be wrong. And more than one thing can't be true at the same time. Yeah.
It can be true that it's the Zoster varicella virus, but it can also be true that became active in his system, having been dormant for all this time because of the mRNA jabs. Both of those things can be true. There's no point even having the conversation.
Yeah.
Because their single source of truth, the internet, has said something different to what I said, and therefore I must be wrong.
Well, no, their deity has given them the information, and therefore it can't be wrong. So
Yeah,
whether the deity is Abby Chatfield, Dan Andrews, Albanese, Karen, whoever, I've noticed a rise in this, and I don't really know how to articulate this in a way that makes sense. But on the left, and I'm just spitballing an idea here, because they are secular, and you could argue that wokeness is a new form of cult. That we could definitely argue that, but I believe they are now using celebrities or public figures as their new deities, and they are worshipping at the altar of these people. Now, I'm not saying that in a superficial way. I don't mean in it's celebrity culture. No, this is worse than that.
Way deeper than that. Mm-hmm.
This is, and I'm sorry to keep bringing up Abby. It's only because of this video yesterday, but she's a good example of it.
Abby on the brain.
She's a good example of it. She has militarized her following.
Right.
They are her own private army. So much so, she doesn't even need to sick them on you now. They'll just do her bidding.
She just needs to mention you.
And so, the comments yesterday was like, I don't know how you landed in my algorithm, blah, 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 go back to where you came from. And so they're openly admitting that firstly, they live in a vacuum.
Live in a bubble.
They live in their echo chamber. Yeah. And somehow my reel came into their echo chamber and they're like, ew, how dare you, get out, get out. And whilst they're kicking me out of the house, so to speak, they also need to insult my intelligence, insult the way I say things, and also, rather than, like you said, refute any of my claims, they're going to go back and go, no, you're an idiot because I know this one, because my deity has bestowed her wisdom on me, and it couldn't possibly be wrong.
But also, them going, oh, shoo, get out of my feed, is the reason why your video went viral.
Yeah.
because the algorithm doesn't care whether you're interacting on the basis of loving something or hating something. It just cares that you're interacting and you're sticking around. And now you're angry and fired up, so you stay on the platform for even longer. And the algorithm says, this is a fantastic piece of content. Everyone's commenting, everyone's watching it, twice, and then they're staying on the platform for another 15 minutes afterwards. Like, this is amazing content.
It's just fascinating from a social experiment kind of thing. Just seeing how they reacted like that, and it's almost like, I'm not saying this is what happens, but it's like someone presses the go button and the programming instantly downloads, and then they just react in a way that's sort of, it's cult-like.
Yeah.
Like, you've read the book Chaos and something, and it's all about the CIA and MK Ultra and what's his name? Charles Manson and the Manson murders. Have you read the book?
I haven't, no.
Oh, it's fascinating. It's a little bit conspiratorial, but there's a lot of truth to it as well. And a lot of people argue that MK Ultra hasn't stopped. And then they talk about the way that you can use mind control to make people carry out acts of terrorism by coercing them and doing all these things. And I don't that sounds pretty dystopian.
I saw a documentary on this. I think it was called Zoolander.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. But Hollywood hides in plain sight, don't they? Hollywood is like not mucking around. They're like, they're literally telling you how the world will end. They literally made the Matrix. Anyway, in this, and so, that sounds very Machiavellian. It sounds very evil. I actually don't think it needs to be that overly complicated. You can brainwash people enough that they will then go and be your little disciples and cause chaos on your behalf without you even having to tell them. And it's weird to me, because there are certainly people that I look up to, but something that I will credit the right, because we often talk about this, the people on the right. To use a blanket term, you and I aren't right-wing, but whatever. There is a lot of infighting at the moment in the right. Yeah. And, oh, no, I disagree. Oh, and like people will instantly like, nah, Trump's lost me. Yeah. And then next week, oh, I love Trump again. Yeah. And I know a lot of people go, oh, I wish we'd stop the infighting. I'm like, no, the infighting is brilliant. We should constantly be questioning everyone's ideas.
Iron sharpens iron.
100%. I'm like, yes, you should. Like, okay, you like Trump, you voted for Trump, but yes, I absolutely call into question some of his things he says. 100%. Absolutely. You should be going, oh, you lost me there. Good. Yeah, good. That's healthy.
Yeah, exactly. But without the hyperbole, without the, people, because people do just do this snapback from one extreme to the other. Like, can we just acknowledge as we go along, this thing that I said last week was good, that's still good. This thing that he's doing now, that's bad. Yeah. Right? Can we actually just not have to be like everything's good or everything's bad?
No, it's 2025. You will never.
Now, I'm mindful of the time.
Where are we at?
And I want to get to Mr.
Do you want to do that now?
Sergeant Bryant. Have you got anything else on your list before we get to that?
I've tried to make this one enjoyable. I had some Trump
stuff.
I think
it's been a fun episode, actually.
I had some Trump stuff, but I don't know if that's we're trying to stay Australian.
He's putting the word retard back on the agenda.
He did put the word retard. He went hard, so he put out. I'll just talk about this quickly. He put out a tweet. I think I mentioned this on Monday, but it was a tweet basically just going all out. Yeah. Like no sparing no one in this, and he talked about Ilhan Omar, marrying her brother, and how the Somalians are corrupting Minnesota, and that Tim Walz is a retard, and again when it comes back to it's unbecoming of a president. I wish he wouldn't speak like that. I argue this is the equivalent of punching people in the face. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't need to be literal; it can be metaphorical, and just calling a spade a spade. I actually think this is great. I appreciate it. So anyway, that's what I was going to say on Trump. We're going to talk about that. Actually, I thought this was good. Just quickly, we'll just talk about this one real quick. This happened today. So President Trump just announced tens of millions of children will be receiving up to $1,000 each, funded by a donation from billionaire Michael Dell and seed money from the Trump admin. Dell has donated $6.25 billion towards the effort. At 18, Americans will then gain access to the account, which will have been invested since their birth and will ideally have multiplied in that time. Dell's donation will cover children under 10 in zip codes with average incomes of $150,000 or less. This is a great way to give young Americans a leg up. They're called Trump accounts, and they'll begin on America's 250th birthday, July 4, 2026.
Wow.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, interesting. That had not crossed my desk at all.
Like, what an insanely beautiful thing to do. And I'm sure this will be absolutely pulled apart and people find the evil in it.
It'll be Orange Man bad. I don't like the reference to money from the Trump administration because that means money from the American taxpayer. But certainly Michael Dell, good on him. If that's how he wants to use his fortune, fantastic.
Yeah, I'd be Yeah. I'm just waiting to see if there's any nasty things in here. It doesn't take them long.
There you go. So basically...
Oh, here we go. Great in principle, but it sounds like a great pool for greedy, corrupt politicians to siphon out money to align their own pockets. Someone
just
will
like our
figure out,
superannuation.
figure out how to enrich themselves.
Yeah.
That's a very cynical way of looking
Yeah.
at it. And to be fair, I understand why you're cynical.
Yeah, how can we not be cynical these days? No, I mean, look, that's interesting. Michael Dell, interesting character. Correct me if I'm wrong, he's not been as politically outspoken as most of the other billionaires. I
know what a Dell computer is. I did not know Michael Dell was the owner of them, so I know nothing about it.
Aren't they the waterproof ones? A Dell rolling in the deep? Isn't that... No? Okay, sorry.
You tried? If this is you testing out your jokes,
No, I'm just... This is just right straight off the top of my dome as I rock the microphone. Come on. Bit of culture. Bit of culture.
Okay, I'm trying. I want to give you...
very trying.
I want to give you some. All right, freestyle. I got it. Got it.
Well done.
That's not a bad thing. I always will look at the optimistic side. I don't think everyone is fundamentally evil. I think evil exists. There are evil people. But a billionaire giving $6.25 billion of his own cash.
Yeah. Like, if anyone's complaining about this...
Take that, Billie Eilish.
If anyone's complaining about this, you got to be like, hang on, okay, can they win? Like, if they keep it, they're bad. If they give it away, they're bad now? Like, come on.
I was going to say that about Karen before, and I lost the train of thought, but... You've just spent the better part of 10 years convincing everyone to get a Tesla and an EV because it's good for the environment. Now you're telling us they're weapons for domestic violence?
To be fair, the telematics systems and the monitoring and everything isn't unique to EVs. The stopping it from charging is unique to EVs.
Yeah.
But all the other stuff is universal to sort of most modern cars.
Yeah, or maybe you could just repeal all those things that make modern cars have all that crap. And
wouldn't that be nice? All the dings and dongs and beeps and boops, get rid of them all.
Yeah, I've told you, I refuse to buy a new car until they're gone, or I can pull them out.
Well, this is why I'm going to build my own car with no beeps and boops.
I told you, Dexter will never die, but I will put in a V8 Hemi engine. I don't care if it makes it wildly dangerous.
Deadly. Well, you know that old joke about this is my grandfather's axe. I've replaced the handle 3 times and I've replaced the head once, but it's my grandfather's axe, right? So it'll be, oh no, this is still Dexter. I've replaced every panel, every piece of the chassis, the engine 6 times, but it's still Dexter.
Yeah, it's Dexter in spirit. No, it's funny. All right, so let's go across to this story. And when I typed it into Google, this is what came up.
Yeah.
Actually, before I show you this one, because this is a good example of propaganda, I'm just going to try and find a news article of it.
A more neutral one. So the story that Carly's looking up is the story of a New South Wales...
Go ABC.
A New South Wales police sergeant has been found guilty of being responsible for the death of a 16-year-old Jay Wright. Now, this is a really significant court case for lots of reasons. Jay died about 3 years ago. He was 16 years of age. He was riding a motorcycle that he had stolen, was trying to evade capture from police, and was riding at extremely high speed, as is evident from the injuries, the impact itself, and the circumstances that unfolded. So the police officer, whose first name I don't recall, but he's Bryant is his last name. Benedict Bryant. The police officer, 22 years of experience in the police force, was driving an unmarked car, responded to a call, went to an area where he knew that stolen vehicles often got dumped. So the other thing, Jai had stolen the motorbike. Someone else had stolen a car from the same property. So presumably he was working as part of a team of people that were just stealing vehicles and joyriding, dumping, who knows what. And so this officer drove towards that area, then received a call that told him that all of them told all New South Wales police, do not pursue, right? And they do that for arguably legitimate reasons. They're concerned about how reckless the person's going to be if they get pursued, and that becomes a danger to the public. And there is a place for that. Whether that's the right judgment call in each individual case is a matter for other people to decide. But there is a place for that, so I'm going to let that go. The New South Wales police have said, too dangerous to pursue, let him go. Now, the timing of everything down to the second isn't entirely clear to me, but that call had come through, and then the officer pulled up at an intersection having seen Jai on the motorbike, and he stopped in this intersection. There was another unmarked car as well that it would seem was probably between him and Jai on the motorbike and obscured his ability to see how fast Jai was going. He comes to a complete halt, and sometime, I believe shortly after, a matter of seconds possibly, but certainly not long, Jai then collides with the front corner of his stationary car, suffers head injuries as a result of the crash on the bonnet of the car and on the ground beyond, that he then dies from. That's the circumstance.
Yeah.
Out of that, on the day that so there's a statute of limitations. On the day that would have expired, charges were laid by the DPP. Now, the police investigated and they said, we don't believe there's a case to answer here. We don't believe that he's done anything wrong.
Yeah.
The DPP then pressed charges on the very last day before the statute of limitations would have expired. That is what has now led to this guilty verdict. Now, the guilty verdict is, I'm not going to get the words exactly right, but it's essentially operating a vehicle in a way that has caused the death of somebody else.
Yeah.
Right? The prosecution argued that because of his 22 years of experience, he ought to have known that the motorbike was not going to stop. He should have been able to mind read somehow and make his car, I don't know, disappear, phase shift so that Jai could pass right through it without an impact. I'm like break the laws of physics. I'm not quite sure what he was supposed to do with that knowledge.
I've got the judge's comments here.
Yeah.
So what was significant was that the judge made it clear that the police officer should have known that Jai Wright would have sought to escape. So what the judge said was that the death was foreseeable and the police officer knew that it was foreseeable and continued to create this obstruction that caused this death nonetheless.
Now, do they have in this article the photograph of the intersection? Because there is a New South Wales, a Polaire photograph. No, they don't. That puts the lie to this. Oh, no, keep going up. Is this?
No.
Okay, it's a different article, yeah. So the intersection is large. The car does not block it. Jai was on an off-road motorbike that could have easily gone footpath. He should have easily been able to stop if he was doing anything other than exceptionally high, reckless speeds. And to put it on a police officer, to say in the seconds that you have, in the moments that you have as you pull into an intersection, trying to take stock of a situation with another police car between you and this motorcycle that's moving at an unknown speed, being ridden by someone who has stolen it, that you have to be able to make that judgment call and position your car so that it cannot possibly cause harm, so that it can't get hit.
Yeah.
This is madness.
When
this
they
is so
talk
absurd.
about justice for Jai, I mean, it's terrible that a young kid lost his life. The kid was on a stolen bike, causing havoc, riding at dangerous speeds, and they're like, we need justice for Jai. What about justice for the people that could have died because of Jai?
Scroll up to the top here. I want you to look at this. This is his dad. This is his dad speaking and celebrating along with a whole bunch of other people. Look at them all. They're all wearing this sort of uniform. The Aboriginal Legal Services got behind them. And he's celebrating that this is some sort of a victory. And he's saying, oh, this should never have happened. He shouldn't have died that day. Well, you're damn right he shouldn't have, because you should have whooped his ass the minute that he started to step out of line and hang out with the kinds of people that steal vehicles and go joyriding and evade arrest. Let me finish. I'm going to say the unsayable thing. He failed as a dad.
Yeah.
He failed as a dad. He can grandstand all he wants. He can deflect responsibility all he wants. He can blame the system all he wants. That is a man who failed as a father, and his son is dead because he failed to do his job.
Yeah. I back you up on that. I agree. Whether he's Aboriginal or not is irrelevant here. I think that
I make no reference to race whatsoever.
Yeah, the whole thing is so irrelevant. The fact is, this kid was doing the wrong thing, joyriding. Let me flip the script. What if Jai had have injured a pedestrian and killed the pedestrian?
Yep, entirely possible.
And Jai was on a stolen motorbike, driving at excessive speeds, kills someone totally innocent. He would get out of jail because it would be seen as, it was an accident, it was meant to be. What part of riding a stolen bike is an accident?
Yeah.
It's not an accident. Like, our judicial system is a joke. Our laws are a joke. This is an upside down world.
We are literally turning the criminals into victims and 100%. Everyone else into criminals. Now, can you go to the other article?
Yes. So,
because this is important. Now that you understand the context of what happened here.
Okay, so when I Googled it before, this is what popped up.
This is the first one that came up.
Sydney criminal lawyers. And the headline reads, first ever conviction of an Australian police officer over an Aboriginal death in custody.
They have classified this as a death in custody.
He wasn't in custody. He was driving a stolen motorbike at excessive speed. What part of that's custody?
This is a death whilst trying to evade custody. That's what this is.
Look at this. I just noticed this. It says up here, I don't know if you can see that. It says fact checked. Fact checked.
By whom? So what's really offensive about this is
Information on this page was reviewed by a specialist defence lawyer before being published. Wow.
Defence lawyer. So in other words, we can't get sued for it. So it has been classified as a death in custody. This is the thing. They're not actually lying with that headline. This has been classified as a death in custody because in custody includes any time that they're interacting with police.
So,
even when they're actively trying to evade police.
Can I just read this bit? So the New South Wales officer was found guilty over the death in custody, which was not only significant for the family, but the dangerous driving causing death conviction was further consequential, as it was the first time a New South Wales officer has been convicted over an Aboriginal death, in fact, in the first time any Australian police officer has been. So this guy's the scapegoat. He's the fall guy.
He's the fall guy, but notice how they're making it all about the Aboriginal and not about the riding a stolen motorbike while 16 years of age.
So the car was stationary, and that's his fault that the kid drove into the car.
He should have known where that motorbike was going to go.
Can we just flip to, like, I don't know if this is worth saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Didn't a illustrious ex-premier of Victoria have a similar situation where a young boy on a bike impacted his car and that person has faced no charges whatsoever, so much so that that young boy almost lost their life? But in that particular case, Ryan Muirleman, the boy who hit the car of Daniel Andrews, because he hit him obviously, the child was at fault in that. Isn't it funny how the race is swapped and the story is completely different, and it's the stationary car that's responsible for the murder, but the car driving that the young kid on the bike rode into, that one wasn't at fault. Isn't that fascinating?
I'm thinking back as hard as I can, but honestly, I don't recall.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
Did you think about that one?
I hadn't made that connection, no.
Isn't that fascinating? Isn't it fascinating? So, obviously I'm being facetious here. In Victoria, Daniel Andrews or Kath Andrews, I believe.
Yeah, well, yes.
So the story goes.
So the story goes, yes.
Was driving a car at a very normal speed. They were doing the speed limit. No one was drunk, allegedly. And
no, apparently that actually slowed to a crawl at that particular moment in time.
Yeah.
Which is why the bike impacted the front guard in front of the front wheel, and he went over the windscreen. Because the car was barely moving, you understand. It was all him. It was all the cyclist moving too fast.
Yeah, because people on bikes on a footpath can go 80 kilometers an hour. Obviously, it makes sense. They're like a moving bullet.
Yeah, and it's like, well, bullet is a good analogy because it's the ricochet. He slammed into the front guard and then ricocheted backwards over the. I
don't know about you, but when I'm pedaling a bike down a suburban street, I'm going at least 80 to 100 kilometers an hour.
Weak. Those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So I just find this fascinating because we're literally seeing this with Daniel Andrews now. So I wonder, I'm no lawyer, but I'm going to play devil's advocate. I wonder if this sets precedent. I know it's New South Wales, but could you now argue?
It won't be usable. No, it won't be a usable precedent. It is being appealed, to be clear. So
this is outrageous.
Isn't it? And I don't go into bat for police officers very often, but I look at this. And here is a man who has spent 22 years in the police force, who was doing his job. I mean, think about the judge's comments. And I do this in more depth in my video on my YouTube channel at Topher Field. The judge's comments were about he ought to have known that this person would go to extreme lengths to evade capture. Yes. And the reason we have police is to capture people who are trying to evade capture.
Literally their job.
Right. If no one's trying to evade capture, we don't need police.
Yeah.
We can just say, hey, you did something bad. Oh, really sorry. I'll hand myself in now. Right.
I've got to wonder if this guy's been stitched up though, because he would have had representation paid for by New South Wales Police, surely?
I don't know, but...
He would have needed a defence attorney, and that defence attorney, I'm assuming, because he was in his role as a police officer, that would be paid for by the taxpayers.
Yeah, I don't know. The defence attorney is named in some of the articles that I've read, but what I will say is that it certainly seems that he's being made an example of.
This is...
If you're a cop now, and you know that's... Now that's a precedent now.
What incentive is there to be a cop?
No, morale is already in the toilet. They keep rearresting the same kids over and over again, and they keep getting let out by these same judges. Right? So these judges are going to throw the book at them because they stopped their car in the wrong spot and a kid killed himself on the front end of their car. You go to jail for that. But the kid that's doing the stealing, if you actually successfully capture them and put them in prison, they get let out the next day.
Yeah.
Why would you be a cop?
So I'm not going to name the person for obvious reasons, but a friend of mine's sister is a police and fairly high up in Big Pole. And I just ask occasionally, I'm like, oh, how does such and such feel about this? And, you know, she's really honest with me. She's like, Carly, they're so fucking sick of it. They're so angry.
Of course.
And like, you know,
But they don't speak.
They're not allowed to.
I know, but speak anyway and suffer the consequences. Set an example.
Yeah.
Right? Because the consequences for them is, you're going to get slapped on the wrist. Maybe you'll lose your job. Maybe you'll get some other disciplinary action. Okay, people are dying out there and you're sitting there silently to keep your job. Do you realize that means that you can be bought? If you're sitting there saying, I better not speak, I really need my job, I need my paycheck, that's your price.
Yeah.
The price of silence for you is a stipend so you can pay your bills every week.
Yeah.
How weak, how low. This is exactly the same as COVID.
Yeah.
I have no respect for the ones that speak out afterwards.
Yeah.
For the ones that are like, I hated doing it. No, you didn't hate it enough to be willing to risk your income, your paycheck.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and tell me, it's awful, it's horrible. I can't speak out. I'm handcuffed by the code of conduct. I'll get disciplinary action. Grow a spine and speak. Because once one of them actually does it, courage is contagious. Others will actually start to do it. And then maybe we'll start to see a difference.
Yeah.
But for as long as they're all sitting there going, no, I need my paycheck. I'm too afraid. I'm too afraid of what they might do to me. Well, I'm sorry, you're part of the problem.
Yeah. No, you make a good point. I actually made that point yesterday, so you've called me on my own shit. I was saying this about the music industry, again, about that reel. So yesterday or whenever it started to go mega viral. And when things go viral, it freaks you out because your phone goes like 100 means 100 followers, 100 comments and 100 likes all at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. Anyway.
I just call that a Tuesday, but okay.
It makes you, I don't know, PTSD. Anyway, in my DMs, a whole host of people who are like, I'm so grateful you came across my feed, yada, yada, all lovely things to say. I can tell you now, over 20 musicians, some of which you would know, all said to me, I'm so glad someone's finally saying it. Yeah. I'm so glad someone's finally calling this out. Guys, I'm not a musician.
Yeah.
I have no skin in this game.
Yep.
I just saw this as an observer.
Yep.
And the amount of people going, this needed to be said.
Yep.
You're a musician. This is your industry. Why don't you say something?
Stop being a cuck. Stop being Abby Chatfield's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Okay?
I got mad about that. So, yeah, I see your point. I see your point.
Yep.
This is separate and it's a bit yucky. It's a bit gross, but this just happened 2 days ago. Sorry. This is a satanic pedophile ring. Did you catch wind of this story?
No.
Okay. This happened literally a few days ago. A journalist, a left-wing journalist, a former swim coach are charged in an abhorrent alleged satanic pedophile ring. 4 men, including an independent journalist and a former swimming coach, have been charged over their alleged involvement in an international satanic child sex abuse material ring. After investigations by Strike Force Constantine, police uncovered a Sydney-based alleged pedophile network possessing, distributing and facilitating child abuse material involving symbols and rituals related to Satanism and the occult. I'm sorry. I know you guys get upset when I profile people. I'm a photographer. That's literally my job. My job is to look at faces. Soy boy.
Abby
Soy boy
Chatfield's boyfriend with a new haircut.
Don't say that. That's allegedly. We don't want to get defamation. That is not what I said at all.
I'm not saying it is him. I'm saying there's a lot of similarity there.
This is soy boy shit. And we have demonized masculinity to a point where these young men are now infantilized and then they engage in this shit. I'm sorry, like cause and effect, I'm calling it.
Yeah.
The reason we are seeing such an uptick of openly disgusting pedophilia, like, think of the childcare workers and stuff like that, they're all young men themselves.
Yep.
And so, like, there's this weird thing. I went into ChatGPT and asked a lot of questions about pedophilia to understand it. And then it got to a point where it wouldn't actually feed me information because it obviously was like,
it's like you're a little too interested in this, Carly.
No, but I was something I didn't know. Pedophilia is around a certain age group of victim.
Yeah.
And then there's other words. I can't remember what they are.
Hebephilia and so forth for older ones.
And basically those denominations are about, the age of the child at the time of the abuse.
Whether they're pre, during, or post puberty. And
I didn't know that. I just thought pedophile was the term.
I only know it because there's a comedian who does a joke about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
A very dark joke, but yes.
And it is dark. And like, when you're typing these things into Google, you feel really dirty because I'm like, I don't understand this. So, and there's literature and arguments around, okay, so if if the perpetrator is young themselves, is it pedophilia and all this sort of stuff? And I'm not going to argue that right now. I think all of it just makes me feel ick.
Yeah.
But these men, so he's 26, right? Looking at his face, And look at those eyes. They don't look good. He's obviously been crying. He's clearly disturbed by this, as you should be.
Well, it's probably a file photo that's grabbed off the internet. That's probably not a photo of him.
It may be. These people are infantilizing themselves as well. And a lot of this comes down to the woke shit. And I know I drive this hard, and there's a reason. Because if you go and look at any of this, they're constantly victims. They're always, they're ruled by their emotions. Everything's about my childhood trauma, my trauma. And then 26-year-old now engaging in this satanic pedophile ring. What happens to a young boy that pushes them either into machete crime or this shit?
So the satanic thing's an interesting angle. This is a much bigger problem than most people, I think, realize. People actively worship Satan. And some of them do it because they think it's edgy and cool and cute. Some of them do it because they absolutely 100% believe in it.
Like this?
They are absolutely sincere.
That guy that I showed the photo of is the founder of Underground Media Network, which describes itself as an independent investigative journalist platform. The platform on the website claims to investigate issues in child protection and public interest harm. Well, that's a really good way to hide what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. It's the people marching at the front of the Pussy March that are the biggest, women bashers and women haters. It's the same with pedophilia. So all I'll say is be very wary of people that admit to practicing Satanism, right? You don't have to believe in Satan. I do. I believe there is a spiritual world. I believe there is evil. There are demons. I believe all of that's absolutely real. When people choose that as their identity. Now, I happen to know some people that claim to be practicing Satanists. I actually know a fair few. Some of them are harmless, and they are doing it because they think it's edgy. I don't think it's harmless to them, right? But they are harmless. They're not.
I saw something about Satanism, and I can't remember what I was watching. Oh, it was a Louis Theroux documentary.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were talking about it, and essentially it was secular. It was like they worship nothing.
Okay, at the surface
nihilistic.
level, yes, it's nihilistic. At the surface level, yes, it's a little bit like the Masons. At the surface level, it's a social club, and then you get deeper and you discover that it's actually about a lot more than that. It's the same with Satanism. Once you start to dive down that rabbit hole, ultimately, they are worshipping Satan. They are worshipping the entity, the angel, the angelic entity that defied God in the early days and was the introduction of evil, essentially, was the origin of evil. It was the cause of the sin, the fall of the world that we talked about before. Our world is broken because of Satan. And Satan's only mission now is to pull people away from God. It is when people choose to identify with Satan, they may not realize what they're identifying with. I'm not saying that they are evil yet. But they are heading in a direction that is going to take them further and further down that path unless they realize it and change direction. Just beware.
Yeah. Well, we're at the 3-hour mark, and I don't want to end on.
This has been such a light and fluffy and fun podcast.
Yes,
we haven't touched anything
I've got a
controversial. Okay, good.
I've got a funny. I've got a few funnies. So I try and throw some funnies in there.
Right.
I'm not going to say anything.
Carly's going to try and be funny, everybody. Look out.
I'm not being funny. This is just a funny I saw on the internet. I'm just going to show you. Oh, sorry. Can't play a song. So this is a woman making homemade decorations.
Oh, yeah? That's clever. Just a little bit of glue. Yeah.
Are you not seeing it?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see it.
Do you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say it?
Not really.
When I see things like this, I get so excited for the comments.
Okay, so read me the comments.
Because nothing gets me more fired up than a comment section.
Please tell me there's some clever comments in here.
Guys, I'm hoping you'll get it. I'm going to be watching your comments.
Because honestly, it did take me a moment. I didn't get it instantly.
I'm glad you finally got it.
Yeah, I didn't get it instantly. I should have played dumb. I should have. Oh, I regret that. I should have just been like, no, Carly. No, explain to me.
I can't even read this with a straight face. All right, I'm going to try. I can't even say it.
For anyone listening, the craft is decorating your tree by using like a hot glue gun to create streaks of glue and then hanging them like icicles off the branches. The problem is there's always a glob of glue at the start of the icicle, which then makes it look like something else that is a pale whitish color that has a head at one end and a tail at the other.
Not the cum drop buttons. Santa has come and gone. Oh, come all you faithful.
No.
They're so good. 'Tis the seaman. Merry Jizmas into all a good night.
That was a good night.
So good, 'tis the season.
Oh,
sometimes I think I'm a bad person, but then I realize we're all just the same.
Oh, dear.
I passed out like 4 times and there's blood in my urine, but now I've finished decorating the tree, Mum and Dad. There they get better. Oh my God. Like, they're so good. Decorating the tree was a load of work.
Please tell me they said decorating, not decorating.
Yeah. Something about Merry Christmas. Oh my God, they just keep going. And this is one of those moments. 1 single second I flew to the comments. It appears Santa's sack is now empty. The tree needs a towel, not a star. Santa came down more than the chimney, it seems. Well, the tree is decorated. That's a load off my mind. It gives I'm dreaming of a white Christmas a whole new meaning. It just keeps going. It's so good. Oh, you're welcome, guys.
All right.
I
That's a good
scour
laugh.
the internet for the good stuff.
Well, that is a good place to finish. Let's wind up before we get onto some other topic and turn it all dark again.
Okay, that was. I'm grateful I collect these palette cleansers.
That was good.
Now I've ruined my makeup.
I do feel like this has been like a dense episode. I feel like there's been a lot.
We packed in a lot.
Yeah.
We packed in a lot.
All right, we grift. We can't stop without the grift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you grifting about?
Grift. Well, firstly, coffee up here.
Yep.
Over
Coffee.
It moves. It moves around the room. So do that. Sign up. Become a member.
Join the Discord because that's where all the fun's happening. And
do join the Discord.
These guys do not shut up. Even now, if I look at my phone, you guys have been very busy in there. And they're talking, what are you talking about at the moment? Oh, Candace is an absolute nutcase grifter.
Well, there you go. It's like they were listening to the show while we were recording it.
Yeah.
So also, today is your last day, well, tomorrow morning, to go to carlsjsoda.com and get
my masterclass. So let me pull it up. I'm the worst at grifting.
Yeah, no, you like I have to
for
grift
someone
for
who
you.
gets
I
accused
have to
of
grift
it.
for
I'm
you.
actually really bad.
Like it's.
So tomorrow night is the AI masterclass.
I will be there.
If you are curious about AI, you want to learn how to harness it and think faster. I've got so many cool things to teach people.
Yeah.
And I've got to remember that most people will be like beginners.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to blow
Most people
everyone's
are
mind.
dumb, like me.
But I'm going to show you guys how to use even just like the large learning models, the learning models, so ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity. There's a lot of things that you can do with them that people don't realize.
So for anyone that's sitting there going, "Oh, this is probably too advanced for me," I've literally never used ChatGPT. I've used Grok, and I had tried the one that's integrated with Discord, the Midjourney. I tried that. That was a struggle. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
And so if I can do it, so can you.
Yeah, so join up, carlsjsoda.com. It's tomorrow night.
Yep.
Live.
Yep.
And wow, you don't need Discord for Midjourney anymore. You can do it online.
There you go.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Now, I have to grift, so head over to topherfield.com and check out all the fantastic new designs of merch, hoodies and T-shirts and caps and stickers. Hang on. Hold that thought. Stickers.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah. Give me that screen. Stickers, bumper stickers. They come in packs of 4. These are the 4 that you'll get. One of each of 4 different designs. And stick them everywhere. Stick them on the backs of cars of people that you hate.
When you see a Palestine flag,
stick
this next to it.
Yep. Absolutely.
I didn't say that. That's not. Don't do that. That's naughty. I don't mean that.
Yeah, cool. So head over to topherfield.com, buy me a coffee while you're there so I can stay caffeinated and angry.
Look how serious you look
Now,
there.
we need to replace that photo because that's my old set.
Yeah, I know.
But I haven't got a new photo for you yet, so I'll have to get that.
That means I have to go back to Albury.
No, I'll take I took that photo, didn't I?
No, that's my photo of you. If you took a photo that good. Come on now.
You're right. I'm just the stunning model.
This guy. This is my favourite T-shirt.
That is such a cool T-shirt.
That's what you're currently wearing, by the way.
Yes, it is what I'm wearing, and I will wear it. But it is like, my name's on the front, my name's on the back like 14 million times, and a silhouette. Can I wear that shirt, or is that only a shirt that other people can wear on my behalf?
No one knows it's you. No one knows who you are.
Well,
at the moment.
Okay, but say I run into this because when I go out, I don't mean to brag, 2 to 3 times. If I'm out for an hour or 2, I'll get 2 to 3 people come up to me and want to have a chat and say hi and whatever, which is great. I love it. But is it too far for me to be wearing because I wear my own, 1984 or Good People Break, but I wear that stuff. It doesn't have my face on it.
Yeah.
This has got my face on it.
Dunno.
Where's the line?
I think you can do whatever the damn hell you want.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
The libertarian in me is like, whatever, bro.
The
whatever.
whiskey and cigars one will definitely get a good workout. That'll
Yeah.
get a good workout.
This is my
for
favourite.
Sure. That design is stunning. That design really
I had
is
to fight
stunning.
you on this one.
You did.
You were anti it in the beginning.
But this is the thing. I said to you when we embarked on this project 6 months ago, cast your mind back, I said to you at the time, I am well aware that I need you to take my brand somewhere that I'm not capable of getting it myself, which means that when I first look at your work, I'm probably not going to like it because it's not what I would have done. But I have to remember all the way through this process that that's the point. And if I can pat myself on the back a little bit, I have always taken that moment to go, no, hold on. And then I've ended up supporting what you've done.
Yeah, you are my least combative client.
Yeah. And it's because I went into it knowing the whole reason I got you is because I need you to take this brand somewhere that I'm not capable of getting it myself.
Often when it comes to branding and stuff, like the business will see the initial concept, which, obviously designers usually go too hard because they know they're going to have to pull it back. And then the client will just keep stripping it to a
I
point
thought the
where
leprechaun on top of the letter F was a bit much.
a little bit. Other than the unicorn horn.
I said keep it, but my wife said no. So
it was a little too phallic for everyone's taste. But when it comes to branding and stuff, usually people make you strip back all the things that make it cool.
Yeah.
But you didn't fight me. I fought you, and I won.
Yeah. Well, look, and because I went into it knowing that I was going to have to be uncomfortable, and now I love it. I think it's fantastic.
How's the feedback been?
Really positive.
Yeah.
Really.
No one's been like, this is shit.
Oh, one or two idiots, but I don't.
There's always a few of those.
I have that mental discipline to ignore them. There are some people you get a million positive comments and one negative one. You just like zoom in on the negative one. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
No, overwhelmingly positive. Really, really strong. People have loved it. People responded really well to the launch video where I kind of laid out the vision for where we're going. Lots of feedback on the books. So I'm trying to decide between one of two books.
Yeah. What did you get? Psychocrats?
Oh, goodness. So it's between Fixing Australia and Psychocrats. And I thought that Psychocrats wouldn't connect, that it would just kind of be a bit too esoteric. Actually, that got more votes.
Yeah, that when you explained it, that was the one that got my attention.
And I had dinner with some friends at a restaurant down the road from us. And it was interesting because I put the same thing to them. I said, listen, can you help me decide between these two?
Yeah.
And I explained Fixing Australia. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. And then I explained Psychocrats. And they both physically leaned towards me from the other side of the table. They both, like you say the word Psychocrats, it means nothing.
Yeah.
And then within half a sentence of me beginning to say, this is what this is about.
Yeah.
They both involuntarily leaned in.
Yeah.
I went, okay, there's something about this.
Yeah,
there's something about this.
Do you know what I think it is? Because, people love a little bit of intrigue, but in that, I imagine, the way you explained it, this will help people have the language to be able to explain what they see, but they can't communicate at the moment.
This is the mechanism by which government destroys everything. We know that government destroys everything it touches. The thing is, some people say, well, that has to be a conspiracy. They're trying to do it on purpose. No, it's worse than that. They're not trying to do it on purpose. So how do you explain it? This is the mechanism. This is the explanation.
Well, that's that Occam's razor thing, right? Don't attribute to malice.
Occam's razor,
Malice, that which can be explained by stupidity or something?
Hanlon's razor.
Hanlon's. Did I get it right? Don't attribute that to...
Don't attribute to malice what can also be explained by incompetence, I think is the official one,
And I think that's what people don't realise. So tonight, just quick story, I am literally in about 2 hours going to go to Parliament, Victorian Parliament, and be there when the debate happens for Castle Law. And... The interesting thing is, so when the petition gets read out in Parliament, they get a 30-minute slot and they get to debate. Now, those of you guys, I'm going to try and film as much of it as I can, but obviously there's things I'm not allowed to film when I'm in the gallery.
In the chamber,
or the gallery, the chamber, the gallery.
Well, you'll be in the chamber. You'll be in the gallery of the chamber.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to film when I'm in there.
Yeah.
But so you guys may not know this. They know it's on the table. They know it's being debated. They can choose to not say a damn thing.
Correct.
And so it's the upper house. So it's David Limbrick. And in there is Sonia Terpster, the one who denied the existence of potholes, and a whole host of other merry random people. Georgia Purcell, Moira Deeming's in there, and a whole host of others. I will be so curious to see if a single Labor MP dares to get up there. I doubt they will, because this is what people seem to not realise. And I hope I'm not giving away too much here. This was said to me in privilege, and I'm going to try and dance around it. the internal party room is fighting amongst themselves in the Labor Party.
Yeah.
Because they know it's bad. But the accepted party message is that Melbourne's safe, everything's under control, we're fine. And so now, like, if they break ranks, you'll remember in COVID, what was her name that broke the ranks, and then Daniel Andrews bullied her openly and said, that woman.
Kalisha.
Yeah. And
Yes, I can picture her face.
She's no longer in Parliament, is she?
No, she was treated terribly. She ended up, did she not leave basically because of bullying?
Yes, because Daniel Andrews, his own MP,
savage. Yeah.
he wouldn't even address her by name.
Kalisha Vergula, I apologise, I'm probably
She's,
butchering that, but
she's an
something
Indian
like
woman
that.
as well, and so that made it even more disgusting.
Yeah, she's a minority, she's a woman, and obviously Daniel Andrews is in a position of power, so there's a power imbalance between them, and he was an absolute animal to her.
It was vile, and it was during COVID, and she was the only Labor minister or MP to cross the floor.
But that's why he made such an example of her, was to get the others to stay in line.
Yeah, so people don't realise this. They may personally feel differently about the issue, but if the party line is that, they have to say the party line. So even though this is a thing that people care about, I will be really interested. And obviously Georgie Purcell, Little Miss, Bale saves lives. I wonder if she'll say a thing.
Well, so it's not even will they say anything. Will they even be there?
That too.
Right? Because they all have TVs in their offices. And if they don't want to be there because they don't want to be embarrassed, they don't want their silence to embarrass, they just won't be in the room.
Yeah.
They'll be sitting in their office, they'll have a staffer watching the TV just in case there's a division or something like that, and they can come running up there, but that probably won't happen. So they'll just sit in their office and answer emails or play solitaire or whatever it is they want to do.
Isn't that disgusting, guys? This is our parliament. This is how it works.
So one of the things I will be asking you about on Monday is how empty was that room? I'm really curious.
Yeah, so again, I'm not allowed to take photos or video. I will document what I can.
Yep.
And David Limbrick's awesome. I'll get signed in. I'll be in the back of Parliament. I'll be in his room, whatever, and then we'll go in there and see. I'll be very curious.
Yep. All right, we need to wind up so that you can get on your way into the city.
And I'm busting for the bathroom, as always.
All right,
guys. Make sure you're subscribed. We've just hit 4,000 subscribers
on YouTube. Yay!
Very excited about that. We want to keep growing the channel, and we keep forgetting to tell you guys to not only subscribe but share the show, tell everyone about it. I hope you guys enjoy this. And it is 3 hours. It is long. It's deliberate because you cannot have these conversations in 5 minutes.
I'm sorry,
you just can't.
Yep.
So, grow your attention spans.
It's your fault.
That all being said,
bye. You going to press it?
I'm just trying to make it really awkward.
Have you pressed it?
Nah.
Please tell me when you pressed it.
Is it awkward yet?
My arm's going to fall off.
Are you feeling uncomfortable?
Okay.